So you guys
No,
do
it's
your
like
thing,
over.
and then like after. Welcome to the Binge Report. That's Justin Olimpado.
And that's Kyle Mocha.
And this is Mr. Zachary Storman. Welcome, everybody, to the Binge Report here live on Binge Rampage. Thank you, everybody, for joining in the chat. Lovely to see some new names and some familiar names. So
Live at the YouTube. Thanks for coming out tonight to the YouTube.
To the YouTube.
You could have been anywhere else.
But you're here on the YouTube.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm Kyle, that's Zach, and this is Justin. We got a very, very, very special episode today. We got a little surprise for everybody, which makes this one a little bit more special.
This one's extra special.
But this one's extra special for two reasons. One is this surprise, but also the other is we're going to be talking about the 1988 anime classic Akira.
Yeah.
We're going to go in depth about it a little bit later, but I do want to say this is a movie that I had never, ever seen before. You guys for years have been telling me I needed to see this movie.
Right.
And I'll say that you were right. I needed to see this movie.
Right.
How do we get Kyle to watch anime?
Exactly.
Make him just watch the best one ever made.
I'm not an anime guy. I'm not an anime guy.
Something to...
Oh, you did something to something. But yeah, like I'm not a big anime guy in the way that I just actually don't watch anime in any way. I had friends growing up that watched Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon.
Right.
I was trying to remember the name of it. The only anime I ever watched was a Christian children's TV series.
Naturally, yeah.
And it was a Japanese animation, but it was all about God and creation and all of those things, which, hey, if you're into that, you're into that. And at the time I was, but it took place in Australia in the future, and it was like a knockoff anime.
Australian Christians, the worst of the Christians.
The worst type, man. The worst type. But they, it never was my thing. I never liked the style of the art. I didn't like the ha-ha mouths and then the
Yeah, I mean, certain
background.
anime can get a little over the top. I mean, I love Dragon Ball and all that stuff, but there's times where it's just like, all right, it's literally somebody screaming at the top of their lungs for about a half a minute.
Yeah, now, I thought a good idea to get into, to warm up to anime, I just told you that I'm not an anime guy.
Right.
You two being big into anime, or at least bigger
into
into it
big into
than
anime.
I am.
Big ups to anime.
Big ups. I wanted to go around and start with you, Justin. What is your history with anime? What was the first stuff? And you guys in the chat as well. What anime is the top anime for you? What are the ones that, if I'm gonna dive deeper into anime, what should I go to? What were the ones that really sold you on it aside from Akira?
Well, I mean, Akira for sure.
Yeah.
That was one of the first. Ghost in the Shell's another. Dragon Ball. Any of the series of. I mean, unless you're getting let me rephrase that. If you're going to try and watch the original series of Dragon Ball, it may be very hard. Then, as I got older, I didn't watch a lot of anime, but then I started dipping my foot back in, and I got into Mushishi, and which is a series. I showed you that trailer.
Yep.
I think you should really watch that. It's really laid back and chill. It's just about a guy who sees Mushi, which are technically like ghosts, and he's just walking around solving things. Some get really dark, some are just lighthearted and dumb, but there's very little of the things that you dislike in it. You're not really going to find anybody doing happy faces and stupid poses. And
and you guys know me. I'm generally, it's the story-driven stuff. Even with, in addition to anime, I'm not a big video game guy.
Right.
And you're always play this game. It's got a great storyline.
Yes.
And one that you've been telling me for years was The Last of Us.
Yeah.
And now I don't need to play it. I can just watch it.
Have you been watching it?
And I'm still not doing it.
Oh, man, you need to watch it.
No, I've been catching up on, Picard is out right now, so I've been really up on that. Mando starts today, so I'm going to start getting into that.
I forgot about that.
But in addition, since I'm illegally using our friends' Paramount Plus, I went, I haven't watched Star Trek Discovery, past episode 3 of season 1. So now I'm on a deep dive of that, and I don't know if it's ever going to end, because then I got to go to Strange New Worlds.
Right.
And who knows? I don't know if I'll have the time. Yeah, so those are the ones that you got into, and that again, how did you say the Mushishi?
Mushishi.
There
Mushi,
we go.
yeah.
I'm really bad at pronouncing things that I don't.
Yeah, we should have a warning on this episode.
Yes.
Any names that we say, we're probably going to pronounce wrong.
Probably going to butcher.
Japanese. We'll try as hard as we can.
Also, in chat, we have One Piece. We know Taylor, a friend of ours, is big into One Piece. We've talked about it before. It's not a show that I can personally get into.
Yeah.
And
it's
there's
a
whole
pirate
lot
series
of episodes.
or something,
yeah.
right? It's like a pirate show. That sells it a little bit more for me. I like pirates.
Are you going to watch this anime?
There's also a lot of anime, like Hunter x Hunter, and I'm sorry if anybody's watching that's into it, where you get halfway through a season, and it's literally like, they're like, okay, now the next 10 episodes are going to be the recap of the season you just watched, mixed in, and it's just like, I don't need or have time for this.
Okay, I get you. Now, Zach, what about for you? What were the besides
Dude, 100%
Akira?
Dragon Ball Z, man.
Yeah.
They started playing that on Cartoon Network in 1998 when I was 7.
Yeah.
So that was like
you'd come home from school. And
dude, it came on Toonami, and even my dad was like, "Yo, this is cool."
Yeah.
And I was because I was already a Power Rangers kid.
Yeah.
I loved Power Rangers.
Yes.
And the opening song on the English dub of Dragon Ball Z is the same guys who did the Power Rangers song.
And
you know, with all that guitar and the
and that's
shredding.
something that in life you have multiple times we have imitated that sound.
Yes.
Power Rangers theme and the opening theme
Yeah.
to Dragon Ball Z, both just like heavy metal guitar stuff.
Yeah, we did a couple soundtrack songs for a buddy's show called Out There with Cisco and Cricket, and he literally was like, I'm thinking, just something like crazy, like real metal riff, and Zach was like, oh, Power Rangers. Cool, we're on it, and it literally sounds like it's the in a nice way the rejected Power Ranger song. It's like the one that they opted not to go with. Now, I would say probably the closest thing to Japanese entertainment I watched as a kid was Power Rangers, because obviously what's that company's name? The toy.
Saban.
Yeah. I always called it Saban. Saban. But yeah, that company and that toy line.
Wasn't there Saban Records in a movie like?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think there was. I think they mention it in like High Fidelity or something.
Yeah, I mean, retroactively realizing that who's it? Bryan Cranston's the face and the voice of the guy
of Zordon.
That's funny to realize later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up watching that style of movies. A lot of karate, a lot of things that were like Japanese adjacent, but like the whitewashed American version.
Right.
The Karate Kid's Sidekick, which is just bad Karate Kid with Chuck Norris playing Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah. Who was the kid in that?
I forget what his name was, but he was like on Full House
kid, right?
And then he sadly wound up committing suicide at a young age. But he
taking it
lives,
down.
He lives forever with the movie Sidekicks, And,
that is true.
And it's cute because it's a double entendre. He is a sidekick, but he also does sidekicks.
Yes.
It's a real thinker of a film.
I actually did not mind that movie, I'll be honest with you.
It was fun.
It's a fun movie.
It was like right when Three Ninjas was coming out, and Three Ninjas Kick Back, and everybody was capitalizing off the 80s craze, but now it's like, we'll tune it up a little bit for children.
Yeah.
But I think I am intrigued from the watching of Akira.
Oh, Jonathan Brandis.
Ooh, Jonathan Brandis. There you go, Brandis. Yep. Yes. But he no longer with us, sadly. But he.
I mean,
honestly,
half of the people that played Power Rangers are no longer with us.
That's true, and they're talking about
doing
that
curse.
that guy.
What else was he in?
He did a bunch. Oh, he was in It.
Ladybugs and It.
He's in the original It. Yeah, that makes sense.
He's the main character in Ladybugs. He becomes the girl to play on the team, correct?
He made it all the way to 2002 for Heart's War with Bruce Willis. That's one you can go back and check out. Maybe I'll cover that on tape.
Oh yeah, the Never-Ending Story. I totally forgot about that too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Good guy. Rest in peace. But yeah, so we.
Hello, everybody.
As we have been discussing, we're going to be going in depth and breaking down Akira. But we do have another special thing that we are going to be doing here tonight, and we have a guest in the room, and we have a nice surprise.
Yes.
I don't know how we want to introduce this, other than it is a very big pivotal moment for the channel Binge Rampage. It is only made possible by everybody that is in the chat and everybody that has subscribed and follows along and likes and shares. And make sure if you're not already subscribed, you haven't clicked that bell, make sure you do so. You get notified of all of the new videos, all of the new shorts that come up, and any live show that we do, you'll be notified right when it starts, so you can be here to jump in and, ridicule us for not knowing things that you are way more intelligent and knowledgeable about.
Right.
But that is... we're at what, 285,000, 286,000 subscribers on this channel,
crazy.
Which is insane. I just want to say the three of us have done a lot of work to get us there.
Yeah, it's been a lot of
We've been here since day one of January 2023. We have been here. We swooped in. Hey guys, when we joined this channel, there was only like 225,000 subscribers. So you're welcome on those others. But something that YouTube does whenever a channel hits the 100,000 subscriber mark.
Yep.
And I believe the next one is what? You don't get another one till 1 million? Is that how it breaks down?
Yeah,
which is it's a crazy jump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, here's your
There's that
100,000,
Future
here's a
song that's
million.
like
Like, there's no in between.
100,000, 100,000. You know that Future song?
No, I don't.
It is Future, right?
Future.
I could be wrong.
Whoop. Well, we're gonna be bringing in our guest here. If you got the shot ready, I don't know. Again, we're kind of just doing this on the fly right here.
I mean, are you ready?
Are you set?
All right.
You ready?
I'm gonna switch over.
We'll switch over the camera to our guest here, which.
If you touch your hold on. You gotta start a shot. We gotta hold on to the same before. Make sure you gend it, and it's all good. Worst case scenario, I can stand up and he can step into this spot right here if that's gonna be a little long.
We can definitely do that. Because I am not the important person in this situation. You know, little bit of a improv moment right here, guys. Thank you everybody for hanging in here while we deal with some technical
If we're doing
difficulties.
improv, tell me a joke, Carl.
Tell me a joke.
I'm gonna do this.
All
I'm
right,
gonna
I
switch
need.
this over.
Can you give me a name of a fruit and a famous athlete?
Blueberry. Serena Williams.
Oh, okay. So yesterday
we are
oh
good.
crap! I was just gonna do an amazing
good.
improv about Serena Williams.
Did you have to cut us off like
buying?
I'm
some
sorry.
Of that.
I'll go back, but I'm trying to get all this.
You know, I think there's a ghost in the chair. Is there a ghost in the chair?
No, there's no ghost in the chair.
Oh, we're
We're
done
good.
seeing. Okay, we're on.
You're not on the update. You can't look at that.
I can't see it. I can't see the updated. All right, guys. Well, hey, why don't you introduce yourself in whatever way you want to?
Hey gang, it's Dalen from Binge Rampage. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys for subscribing and coming for the ride with us. But we're unboxing the plaque today.
Hell yeah!
Awesome.
Do we got a knife?
Ooh,
you want
I
got a fancy knife. Oh,
I got my knife that says
your knife
Dad.
says Dad on it.
I have a knife that says Dad. I found it in a parking lot, and nobody claimed it. So we'll put this in the Binge Rampage Museum as the knife that opened the box.
1,000 men.
This knife is not opened a single man that I know of, but before me.
I've
who
never
knows?
seen one of these in person.
I have not
I'm
either.
very excited.
This is so cool. I like the fact that it comes in a box marked YouTube.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to, while it's being delivered, doesn't have any idea what it is and couldn't take it. Here we go.
Alright, it says, do you remember your first subscriber, your 100th, or your 1,000th subscriber? Chances are you do, and we know that you'll definitely remember your 100,000th subscriber. Your fans may have found you while searching YouTube, learned about you through a friend, or maybe you showed up as a recommended video. No matter how they came to your channel, fans stayed and their numbers increased because of your unique voice and the excitement of being part of the growing community that you established. We are thrilled to see the development of your community and are proud to honor your impressive milestone of reaching 100,000 subscribers with the Silver Creator Award. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Oh my gosh. It's real.
It is a real thing.
It is so
For a
cool.
while, I thought people
How
were just
heavy
making them.
is it? Got a good weight to it?
It's not really heavy.
Yeah? Ooh. There you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, got the name written right on it. Look at that.
Appreciate you guys.
Heck yeah, guys.
Yeah.
Again, it's everybody in the chat, everybody that's subscribed. You are the ones that made this possible.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We're joking before. We did very little.
We did very little, yes.
But you guys have been hard at work for what,
for
5 years now you've been going at this?
5 years, yeah.
That is insane. And
But actually, you guys are gonna help us get to 1 million. So
heck yeah.
you'll
We'll
be there
take
for
a
that.
little bit of credit when we hit the 1 million mark, but still it's going to be mostly what you guys have built over the last 5 years and the audience you have here.
No, I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah,
you know what
this
I mean?
is so
Being
cool.
able to do other things in the way that we do things is great, you know?
Yeah,
and
I
it's
mean,
nice.
we're all super appreciative and thankful for just the opportunity to be able to be on the channel and do things a little bit more professionally and cut up than we've done in the past. We've been, I don't know, Dalen, if you've checked it out, but we've done some really dumb things on the internet.
You know, I saw what you were for Halloween, actually.
Ooh, yeah, the Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
It was
Love
pretty
it.
good.
Love it.
See, the thing is, I'm also an ordained minister, so I thought of just starting to do weddings as Steven Seagal, and I think people might really enjoy that. Seagal is just talking more about himself than the bride and the groom the entire time. But yeah, we're gonna slowly, you know, when you start a new relationship, you don't dish all your crazy out at once.
Right.
We're slowly gonna get to the point where you guys know all of our crazy, and we're gonna do it in our way there. But yeah, big ups, Dalen. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to Mr. R, and again to everybody in the room, in the chat. Thank you guys so much for making this happen.
Yeah.
And again, we're gonna get to that 1 million mark, and that's with your help. So if you can, this is our little telethon moment. If you can make sure that you are liking and sharing and getting your friends to subscribe. If you don't necessarily enjoy what we're doing, the channel's got plenty of other things.
Yeah, everything that you guys do are really awesome and in depth.
And if you don't enjoy what we're doing, why? Like, what is wrong? I mean, we have 285,000 subscribers, guys. Like, we're pretty. I literally at work. I make this joke at work where people are like, "Oh, what are you doing? Tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing my YouTube show." And they're like, "Oh, you still on the old channel?" I'm like, nah, no. Onwards and upwards. We still have it. It's over there.
No, we're doing something a little more official.
Yeah, we're doing something a little bit more real. And then when they're like, "Oh, cool. So how's it going?" And I'm like,
Oh, so you
just cleared 250,000 subscribers. And I'm like,
you guys still getting wasted and talking a whole bunch of nonsense?
Like,
no, not anymore.
I mean, we talk nonsense, but it's more directed nonsense.
I wrote notes for this show.
Yeah.
I never wrote notes
That's true.
for any of the episodes
Totally
of the old
unscripted
show.
last time.
Yeah,
You know?
the old shows were just us. Like it was a crazy train going off the rails, and me attempting to keep us on the rails. And this one is us just on the rails. You can use that soundbite later for something, I'm pretty sure.
Now, real quick.
Yes.
I don't think that we talked about this. Do you want to do trailers before we get really in depth with this? Because then we can ask if any other...
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you want to. I mean, I know we've got the two that we were discussing. So if you want to jump right into trailers before we get into Akira, give us a little bit of time to work with that. Keep it short and sweet. And then, as long as you're on mic and you want it, if there's any opinions you got, just throw them right there.
Yep.
But
first, is there any trailers that you have seen that you're excited for?
yeah, anything in the last week or so.
The Flash, for sure.
So the Flash, yeah.
Yo, it looks. Ezra Miller is a crazy person.
Yes.
And I never thought it was the movie would see the light of day.
No.
But
Everyone
the
thought it was
trailer,
done.
as I'm so done with superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
But this looks really good.
Also, Michael Keaton
That's
coming. I mean,
half of why it looks so good.
Michael Keaton is my childhood Batman.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's our Batman.
Sure.
Like Pierce Brosnan was our Bond.
Yes.
Like,
Brosnan's my Bond. Yes.
Keaton was
Now,
our Batman.
you're a lot. Who is your Batman? Christian Bale.
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about Batfleck?
Oh, Bale for sure.
Bale
Going
over
for
Batfleck.
Bale for
Well,
sure.
this one you're gonna get Batfleck for a little bit, and I mean, who knows how much each of them are in the movie?
Yeah.
But you're gonna be getting Keaton and the Batfleck version, which is really cool. Now it sucks with DC going the way that they're going right now. I'm excited to see what they do, but it sucks.
I don't understand how
they're
they're
pretty
gonna
much
do
just
this movie
wiping. Well, they're
and
gonna
then wipe
release it. And then you still have Aquaman's coming out, on Christmas this year?
Yeah.
And that's already getting, like, terrible reviews, and it's just getting trashed by everybody. Whether that's the Amber Heard thing or...
Except moms. Dude, moms still love Aquaman. Sure. They love that man.
Momoa sells tickets the way that, like, Baywatch got viewers.
He sells tickets to middle-aged women.
Yeah,
oh, my God.
It's all the TNA. That's what they're there for, the TNA of Jason Momoa, you know?
Yeah, what is that? The tan and the abs?
And the abs. The tan and the abs. That's what TNA stands for in that situation. But yeah, I'm really stoked for that one. Justin, do you want to jump in? Do you want to do yours first, mine first? Which one do you think?
I'll go first. It's coming out in 2 days.
Really? Oh, I didn't realize it was this weekend.
March 3rd.
Oh, Jesus, we are in March.
But Operation Fortune Teller.
Fortune Teller or Operation Fortune?
Yes.
It's a different movie.
Operation Fortune Teller. No, it's Operation Fortune.
Guy Ritchie. Operation Fortune Teller.
It's about the fortune teller that's in Big.
Yep.
You know, we're going back to that universe.
Not Zardoz. What's
I forget.
Yeah, who knows?
But no, it's an Operation...
Zardoz. Totally different movie.
We need a deep dive on Zardoz,
It is a totally different movie, yes.
Great movie.
Operation Fortune, Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
He has two. I don't know much about the army, the military movie that's coming out. But this looks like he's going back to form. Old British gangster.
His lock, stock, two smoking barrels.
A lot of dialogue.
Snatch,
a lot of witty British dialogue, slang,
and
stuff
witty
like that.
American stuff, because you got
Aubrey
Plaza, Jason Statham, Hugh Grant doing what Zach is loving with Hugh Grant. He's now just like
it's two movies
older,
that we're gonna get
pompous, bad guy.
Hugh Grant is best Hugh Grant.
It's the best Hugh Grant. It's way better than 27
He's
Weeks.
He's in D&D too, correct?
Yeah,
he's a villain in D&D,
one
of the villains.
He's one of maybe the villains, but
he's the thief.
Yeah, he's the rogue, right? So
he's
it makes sense. So you get that, but the over the top dialogue, action, the quick shots, everything that made Guy Ritchie what he is.
Yeah, I also think that because they're mentioning Sherlock Holmes, we're gonna get the breakdown of like, you know, I said it to you guys earlier. There's a scene in here where he says so and so is going to be, or the actor's going to be in trouble, and I feel like that's a scene where Statham is just like, then this happens, and it cuts to the imagery of like, like how Sherlock, how Robert Downey was like, there's a guard in the next room, and I walk up, and the
camera angle follows the story that he's telling. It's just like an like a voiceover on the whole thing. I think knowing the base idea of the movie, they're trying to infiltrate this one guy, so they get a famous actor who is played by Josh Hartnett, which it's great to see him in a movie. Mm-hmm. And you would have thought he dropped off for so long that he would look a lot worse than he looks, but he looks exactly...
what was the last big movie he was in?
I was trying to think. There's that like 30 Days of Night, but that's like 18 years ago at this point.
30 Days of Night is rad.
That was a good movie. I remember seeing that movie, but then like Hollywood Homicide, a couple of other random
What's
things.
What's up, meme dog?
Hey,
how you doing?
The best part, and his name is Danny.
Hello?
You gotta have a character named Danny in a movie like this.
Yeah. Danny.
It's just, it's a good British name. It's a good American name.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know why that struck me in that trailer, but I'm like, I'm glad his name was Danny. That's a good name.
Now, we do have to talk about one misfortune in Guy Ritchie's career. A movie that there should have been a second movie made.
King Arthur.
King Arthur should have gotten a second movie.
I thought we were going to say that bad Madonna movie he made when he made Madonna British.
When he was married to Madonna?
Yeah, he was married to Madonna, turned her British.
He's too old for Madonna now.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you seen Madonna lately?
Yeah, we don't need to go into that, but
oh my God.
Buzz, your girlfriend.
She did come out and say, "Hey, these are the pictures without the swelling, though." So.
Oh, she was swelling.
Something like that.
Oh, thank God! Thank God she just went through surgery.
Yeah,
so it's not
like
okay.
That
wasn't the. She didn't want to look like the spider from James and the Giant Peach.
It doesn't look much different.
Looked like her face was shaped like a heart.
Doesn't look much different. But anyway, that's getting off point.
Yeah.
So this movie's out
Friday.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks phenomenal. I'm stoked to see it. Again, there's 2 Guy Ritchie movies that are going to be hitting theaters this year, so it's really cool that he's kind of getting that. And it's nice. While King Arthur was awesome and the Sherlock movies were good, it's cool to see him back into the
I don't know about the Sherlock movies being good.
The first one was fun.
It was great,
as all heck. It was literally entertaining.
It was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, but I don't. I would rather. I'd just watch Lock, Stock if I want that.
Yeah,
and if you want Sherlock Holmes, you can just watch Sherlock, and it's way better of a story.
It was a bad Guy Ritchie, not a bad Guy Ritchie movie. It was one of the lesser Guy Ritchie movies, and it was the least Sherlock.
Yeah.
Incarnation.
Yeah, well, it was an action movie.
Yeah.
It
So it was like,
Sherlock Holmes.
well, it's not terrible. It's not on the level of what Sherlock Holmes should
Is
be
it better
or
than
Guy
Enola
Ritchie
Holmes?
Yeah.
I didn't watch Enola Holmes.
Probably not.
I really liked Enola Holmes.
I did not see the second one yet, but I
haven't
really
watched the
did.
second one, but
the first one was really
amazing.
great.
All right, well, let's jump into my pick this week. A movie that Zach is not interested in any way about. But
people are gonna
not
hate me for this.
That's fine. Most people probably agree with you.
I'm too cool for school.
No. Sometimes you might be right with this, but I've been following not only this guy's career since pretty early on, but the progress of this movie being made because the star Bert Kreischer making his movie The Machine.
Yeah.
It is. Everyone knows the story of The Machine, and if you don't, you can find it everywhere. It's one of the first big
what we're talking
videos.
about, right?
I love Bert Kreischer.
You love him, awesome. So this is the story of this movie it's Bert Kreischer, current day as Bert Kreischer, the famous comedian who has been going around the world telling the story The Machine. And how he robbed all of these people and did all this crazy stuff while he was in Russia for a class trip. And he basically joined the Russian mafia for a week. So you get like the intro of that, and then it cuts to current day where there's somebody that he robbed on that train. It's their daughter or granddaughter is now coming to get the items back, like trying to reclaim everything. So it is a natural continuation. And I can only imagine that the story started with him just drunk talking about what would happen if all of a sudden some guy that like has seen me telling the story comes back for me and was like, it was you?
Right.
It was you? And then comes back and seeks revenge. Now, for all of the reasons that I'm excited, the one I'm most excited, the best reason to watch this movie is Mark Hamill is playing his father in the movie. Mm-hmm. And Mark Hamill apparently did not like Bert Kreischer much at all in the making of this movie. But
sure
the character of the father seems to also not like Bert Kreischer that much. Like, it's kind of embarrassed by him in a certain way, which is just, it's not even method acting. It's just hire someone that actually hates you.
Right.
Or make them hate you. And I'm sure he didn't purposely do it. Bert Kreischer wants everybody to be his friend, but he's himself. He's loud.
I'm sure
he's
he
obnoxious,
played into it once he found out that he didn't. Hamill didn't like him per se.
Because what's a way to get a guy who's not really an actor to be a better actor is surround yourself with better talent.
Yep.
But then lean into that. If there's a natural riff, like lean into it. But it looks very well made. They made it in somewhere in Eastern Europe. I forget exactly where they went to, but I have to think that Bert Kreischer, after spending all this time developing this movie and writing the movie and getting it made, probably is thinking right now, like, God, I wish I wasn't in Russia for all of this story.
Yeah.
Not a great time in the world to be doing something that's, set in Russia. I'm sure there's some nerves he's got about all of that.
Yeah.
But I think that might play into his hand a little bit. Russia was the bad guy in like every movie until 1991. I remember Wayne's World having a little skit where they did the top 10s, and they were doing the top 10 reasons that the Soviet Union collapsing is terrible. And it was like, who's going to be the bad guy now? It was like one of the number one things that they did. Like, who's the bad guy now that we don't all just like immediately go to Russians? And now they're working their way back over, depending on your view on the situation, which we don't need to get into any of that.
No.
But for this movie, he's going to be... it's going to be him against some Russians and some Russians on his side. I do have to say the guy that they got to play young Bert is spot on. And this is technically, if you didn't know, the second movie about Bert Kreischer's life. because the first movie about Bert Kreischer's life is called Van Wilder.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
So Bert Kreischer got started.
I didn't know
got
that.
his start. He was in school. I forget where he was going in Florida. He was going to school in Florida, and it was a big University of Florida.
Did he write it?
No. So he had there was a guy sent from Rolling Stone to cover the biggest party school in the world,
right.
And they went to, I think it's University of Florida or Florida State, one of the two. And not a big difference for me, but if I said that to a Florida State or a University of Florida person, they would probably stab me with whatever was around, because they're from Florida and they'll just hit you with anything. But he was going to school, and when the Rolling Stone was sending somebody to do the story on the party school, they immediately just linked him up to Bert, who was like in his 4th or 5th year of college and was the party guy. And they just followed him around for a couple of days and then wrote a story instead on the school on the greatest party guy in the country and named him like the world's biggest partier. And so from that, they sold the rights to the story. Bert got whatever he got.
I'm sorry.
Bless you. But they spent the next 5 years developing the movie, and it evolved into what we all know now as Van Wilder.
You thought, real quick, we got a comment, bro. I thought you guys were teens. So we are multifaceted groups of people on the channel.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that do a lot of work. Us three here, very far away from our teen years.
Yes,
we're
definitely not that far.
You are closer than we are, but you are closer to 40 than you are to 19.
You're damn right about that, buddy.
Yes, I am. And Justin's closer
to a gravestone than he. Never mind.
I've been digging every day. Don't worry.
Wait, you're planning for your you want to make sure you're resting in a good spot, so you're digging your own grave.
Well, I just figure if I dig a hole every day, eventually I'm just gonna die in it, right?
Oh, so you're digging different holes every day.
Same hole, dude.
Oh, so you fill it in at the end of the night?
No, it's just somewhere.
It would suck if you died right after filling the hole back up. So this is a very deep hole that you've been digging. Yeah. All right. Speaking of deep holes we're digging, this bit can only go on for so long.
Yes, and I will say there's one thing about Mark Hamill's look in this movie. Yeah. He almost looks exactly. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's called Sushi Girl. It's a horror movie.
No.
He looks exactly the same. It's almost like
that's
Bert Kreischer was just like, "Yo, you're gonna wear the same thing you wore in that movie."
Oh, Hamill is actually in that movie.
He's in it. Yeah,
okay. All right. No, I do not know.
It's a strange movie, but it's a bunch of people are invited to this sushi place, and they bring out a girl who has sushi on her. And,
I've eaten sushi like that before.
And people start to die.
It's like Clue, but dark.
Yeah, sort of.
Like Clue, but with sushi.
Yeah.
Clue-shi.
Sort of. Anyway, so I just wanted to add that his character looks exactly like he did in
I thought you were going to say that he looks more like Obi-Wan Kenobi now.
I mean that too.
He really does look like.
They should just be like, "Hey, Hamill, you're back in, dude."
Yeah, Obi-Wan season 2 with Mark Hamill, confusingly enough. Playing both the roles of young Luke Skywalker, de-aged,
oh my god,
and himself as he is now, just
de-aging is some messed up stuff.
Creepy.
Oh, it's weird.
Are we gonna get a new? I keep saying we're gonna get a new Elvis movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're gonna do something like that.
Well, they just did the Elvis movie.
Well,
there's a movie starring Elvis.
Oh, probably.
We're gonna get Blue Hawaii 2, as I'm calling it.
Zach,
to Hawaii.
We saw it in one of the greatest movies we've ever seen in our entire life.
Which
Terminator
Genesis.
We did. We saw that happen. It's already happened.
You guys really, really enjoyed your viewing of that movie.
One day, when we hit 1 million subscribers, me and Justin will explain why Terminator Genesis.
If you want to find out why that is,
one
of the best movies
so we will, Justin, we will recreate our mind state.
Oh, yes.
No. And then we will tell you why that's the best movie ever made.
Yeah. That means we're gonna have to watch it twice in the same way.
Yeah, it's gonna be the only way that we can do this. I believe.
Okay. Yeah,
that
I'm
might
down.
not be able to be on this channel.
Basically, me and Justin saw that movie from orbit.
Yes. Orbit of Jupiter.
We were flying.
Oh man,
sure.
one of that's the greatest movie I ever saw in the theater. Hey, Hey, Sergio!
Oh, Sergio, what's up?
Well, welcome, Mohammed. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks,
seriously,
everybody.
if you guys haven't, click that subscribe button.
Hit the bell. Hit the bell. Share it. Get notified. Share around.
Every other Wednesday, we will be live talking about a new
pending
movie.
weather, you know.
And tonight it's Akira.
Tonight it is Akira. So let's just jump right into it. Again, to reiterate, if you're just joining us now, I have never seen Akira before this first viewing. Justin, when did you first see it?
Oh man, I don't.
Like
I don't remember. I was probably like 14 or 15.
So it's been
it was
enough
out
of your life. Yeah.
Well, it came out in '88. I was born in '81.
1881, right?
Yes, 1881.
That's the new Yellowstone spinoff. Justin's birth, 1881.
It's sort of. Yeah. All right. We could do that. Let's call the writers up right now. Right?
We got it.
I feel like that sort of was a natural progression. Like growing up, I didn't know what anime was and all that stuff. So I think I caught part of it on like a cartoon. Well, Cartoon Network wasn't a thing then, but like a station had this playing. Maybe it was HBO back in the day.
Okay.
Or something. But it seemed like a natural progression. It was animated.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was getting into. And when I first watched this movie, I just thought it was cool. There was a lot of it's gory. It's brutal.
It's
a brutal movie.
It's an action film. It's a full-blown sci-fi action film.
Yep.
It just happens to be animated.
Yeah. Now, so for you, going into it, what did you think you were going to be seeing?
All right. First off, all I knew about it was the image of Kaneda, however they want to say his name.
You have to yell it.
Kaneda!
Tetsuo!
But I knew that image of him, the him walking to the bike and the bike, laying down. I had known that Zach had referenced this movie plenty of times as it being a sci-fi film, being an action film, all these things. So when I walked into it, I was hoping that there was no way that you were overselling this movie, but my honest thought was, there's no way this movie is going to be as epic 40 years or 35 years later. There's no way it's going to be as epic to me that it is to you, in the way that if you show somebody who's never seen Goonies right now, it might not hit the way that it hit for us when we saw it as children,
as kids. But I feel like that type of movie still holds up.
It does,
like specifics movies from the 80s.
Certain things that I look at, let's go to in the vein of comedy, right? In 1995, 96, you're getting Happy Gilmore, you're getting Black Sheep, and all those movies are still hilarious.
Right.
But the comparison to comedy 20 years later is everyone standing on the shoulders of the guys from the 90s who stood on the shoulders of the guys from all the generations before them. So now it's it's advanced so far. You couldn't make Happy Gilmore today and it be as huge of a hit as it was, because it would seem repetitive. It would seem like you were stealing from somebody else. So I was thinking that watching this movie, there was going to be way too much that other people have ripped off from it, that now it would seem cliche to me.
Right.
Which there are a lot of things in this movie that we'll get to that I went, oh, that's this. Oh, that's where this comes in.
But it doesn't feel cliche, because the way that they use
the movie holds up. It is good. The art style of it, everything about it is just phenomenal. It is definitely one of the top movies I have ever watched that I should have been watching my whole life, The only other time I did something like this was I stayed away from watching The Godfather until I was 30 years old, because I was like, there's no way The Godfather's as good as everyone says it is. And then I watched The Godfather and I went, oh, yeah, it is. It is. It holds up. It's amazing. It's highly entertaining. It's just super. It's a super fun film.
Right.
But then with this, it was the same way. It didn't feel over, it didn't seem overly cliche.
Right.
It just seemed like it was made for its time, and it has remained for the time, whatever that time is. I'm sure you could have watched this in 1995, and you could watch it today for whatever time you watched it for the first time.
Right.
It's going to hit as it should.
Right.
Like, it really does sustain its quality and its ability to just kind of wow you. And especially it being animated. I thought, okay, there's going to be things that you can't do in like real life that you did in anime, but realistically, you could have made this a live action movie.
Yeah.
And
it would have been really hard, I think.
It would have been hard, but you could have. There's nothing that you're doing in this that is like totally out of like the realm of possibility.
Sure. In '88 it would have been hard, but right now, But that is something we should touch on. That.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been trying.
But just don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do
Certain things don't need to be touched.
It doesn't need to be redone.
I put this on now my list. I have things that don't need to be touched. Number 1 is Back to the Future. Number 2 is Akira.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch them.
Yeah.
You don't need to. If you want to sequelize Akira in some way and you stay true to the animation of it all, maybe, but you don't need to. It stands on its own. It stands on its own.
The only thing, like, if they did a show... If they did an HBO show,
like exploring the world,
and it was more about the Capsule Gang, and it was more about the setting of Neo Tokyo, and
I would
just give me a show about the clowns.
That's what I was gonna say. I would be totally cool with a or a series or something set within the world of that. Maybe even during the timeline that this is going on, where it's just focused on the other gangs and what they're doing. And you know what I mean? Because to reintroduce that after, like, I feel like it would be hard even doing a sequel. One, because the way that this movie touches on a lot of political stuff and the I mean, we'll talk about it soon, but the terror and torment of, like why Godzilla was made and why Godzilla is popular and how this movie starts off literally right away like World War III happened, we got bombed.
Yep.
Yeah, so we can start going into the I can't not say it, synopsis.
Synopsis.
There is a
synopsis.
There is a radio show I listen to, and there's a man that pronounces things wrong,
and then you inherit.
They make fun of him all the time for it,
right?
But it's such a commonality that the words are now ingrained in me.
Yep.
So I can't
synopsis.
say. I can only say synopsis, because I can't say it correctly. I can only say Googla.
Yeah.
I can't say
Googla.
I can't say it. I can't say it anymore because it has been ingrained in me. So here's the. We'll start from the top.
Here's the outline.
Here's the outline. But no, the movie starts with the shot of Tokyo, and this is a wild thing that I found. So, It starts of a shot of Tokyo, July 16th, 1988, when the end of World War III and Tokyo is leveled by what appears to be a nuclear bomb.
Right.
What day did the movie come out?
No way.
July 16th, 1988 was the day it came out in Japan. They must have known that and done that on purpose. It's a very cool thing.
Oh, wow.
But could you imagine?
I had that in my notes and I didn't even put that together.
How wild it would be to be in the theater for the day the movie comes out and you look at it and it's like, that's today's date. And then the city that you're in explodes.
Oh,
it's very cool.
That's awesome. Like, that's meta before meta was meta. That is really... They definitely had to have had that planned, or they went, we're not... Is the same date in the manga? Do you know? So maybe they went, we don't know when the date's going to be, so let's wait until the release is announced, and then we can edit.
Yes, now we'll get to it. There is another correlation date in this.
Oh, no.
That is pure accident that happened.
Before we get away from the release date,
I
just want to say that it was a 7 million yen budget.
Oh, yeah.
And it
700
million yen,
which is $5.2 million US.
All right, so
it made that 1.5 billion yen, which is 49 million.
That was the production budget, though. But once you cleared advertising and everything, the full budget was 1.1 billion yen.
Jeez. So they only made
0.4 billion.
0.4 billion, yeah.
Yeah, on the box office. It's made a lot of money off of...
Yes.
Well, exactly.
Almost all of its money has come from home videos.
Yes.
Yeah, there's so many movies that you look at the box office
but while we're talking about that, the funny thing, so that price there, about 1 billion yen, which for inflation today is about 10 million USD.
Okay.
Now, I just wanted... Like, that seems like a lot of money, but when you think of animated movies...
Oh, God,
and what they cost...
Like, The Incredibles is probably $100 million.
No, I just picked one that everyone loves. Shrek came out in 2001.
Yes.
In 2001 money, it's $60 million. In today's money, it is $100 million movie.
Yeah.
Shrek cost 10 times the price that it costs to produce Akira.
And Akira is
how much was Shrek?
Hand-drawn...
60.
Toy Story was only $30 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Well, that's the difference between 94 and 2001.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
In
Very
level
true.
of
Very
detail.
true.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that it was made for that price, no matter when it was, just in translation or not, and it's a hand-drawn movie.
Yeah.
With a few exceptions.
So,
it is a hand-drawn
So
movie.
the first thing, before even Tokyo explodes, the first thing you see in the movie, it says, the Akira Committee.
Okay.
Which was a group of a whole bunch of different... I'm trying to find it exactly where it is on my notes. But it was a whole bunch of different companies. So the guy who wrote it, I'm going to pronounce this wrong.
Katsuhiro
Otomo. We'll just call him Otomo.
Yeah.
He had written the manga, and he was still doing that, and it was so popular they were going to make a movie. But the committee is Bandai Toho, the company that put out Godzilla, Laserdisc Corporations, and a few other Japanese movie and TV corporations. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 8 different companies that formed the company, the Akira Committee, to make sure that they made this movie properly.
Oh.
Now, I have a question real quick for both of you. Do you guys know what the top grossing movie in 1988 was? It was also an animated film.
Ooh, 1988 top. I'm going to say Little
Disney?
Mermaid. 88?
It is a Disney movie.
It's not Oliver and Company, is
And
it?
you should know this right off the bat. You've had interactions with...
Oh, no. Is it Roger
Yes,
Rabbit?
it is. 156
Who
billion.
framed Roger Rabbit? My good old friend Charles Fleischer.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Don't call that guy your friend.
We have a close bond. He and I. Which, again, if we get to 1 million subscribers, we'll tell you that story, too.
Yes.
That'll be the wildest episode.
Do we want to cancel Roger Rabbit? All right. That's funny.
Yes.
And I would say Akira, way better animated movie than Roger Rabbit.
Two totally different movies.
Roger Rabbit was the
is
first
great,
to cross over the animation and the live action.
It's such a good movie.
And fun side note, it's the first one where Disney and Warner Brothers both licensed their characters to be used together in a movie.
Yep.
That's how you get the Daffy Duck falling next to Bugs Bunny, and then it's Donald and Mickey. And
you got what's Tweety and what's the grandmother? Granny?
Oh yeah, Granny.
Whatever her name is.
Yep.
And then there was Roadrunner in that movie too. Bunch of things. Anyway, we're getting off track. I just wanted to throw that out there.
So we got through the bomb.
Yeah.
Tokyo gets leveled.
Yep.
Then it's present day in the film, which is 2019.
Yes.
Yep.
And the shots of the city, and it just shows you this grungy, decrepit, sort of messed up.
Well, like half of the city is not even being used. It's like, you
Yes,
said, decrepit, not
Tokyo,
even powered.
Yeah, they built Neo Tokyo on the ruins of old Tokyo, which is destroyed. And when you first see the main characters of the film, so it comes into a man walking into a basement bar.
Solid reference right there. The basement bar. Check it
and
out.
the first time you see Kaneda, he's at the jukebox. Well, before that, you see the bartender who sells drugs.
Yes.
Yeah.
He sells like water and drugs.
Yeah.
And then behind the jukebox, you see the red Michael
Hold on,
Jackson.
we got somebody
suit.
saying to cut our beard. Sorry. Not
For
gonna
who?
happen. For Welding Restoration LLC.
I bend the knee to no man.
Thank you for being here, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for. But you see that that jacket.
Yeah.
With the pill on the back.
Yeah.
The biker gang is the capsules.
Yeah.
And that is our sort of crappy main character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, going back to the cover of this of this movie and the posters and the bike and all of that stuff, you get it right away, right?
Yeah.
You pretty much get it off the bat, and you think, well, you said that you thought that was Akira.
Yeah, I figured he was Akira.
And you're just like, okay, here we go. And then you slowly get more of him pulled away and the bike pulled away, and you're like, wait, why did you put that on the cover?
Yeah.
Like, why is that there?
It literally
and it's
was
such
a great bait and switch on it.
Oh man, it's such yeah.
Real quick, we're gonna be throughout this. There are a lot of times where this movie has influenced or been influenced by things, and I think it's just gonna work in the moment to go through it. One thing I didn't even realize until you were talking about Neo Tokyo. Futurama, 100%. New York is built on top of old New York that was destroyed.
100%.
That is right there. And then also,
I'm also pretty sure they've used other things.
The Michael Jackson / Eddie Murphy look of that outfit.
The red jacket.
But the Michael Jackson reference that you made in the movie or the music video for Scream, the 1995 song, Michael Jackson song with Janet Jackson.
They
and
have
Michael.
clips from the movie.
Yeah, they're literally in there, and so I saw that. I was like, oh, let me go back and watch the music video. And so this movie has infiltrated everything. All right.
And then the opening action sequence, as with a lot of good movies, there's that opening sequence that sets the tone. You should flash that up there. That's a really good.
Canada. Never gonna say his name right.
Canada.
You have to yell it.
Canada.
The opening gang fight between Canada and the guys and the clowns.
Yes.
And the clowns have the. And that's another thing that drew me into this movie so hard was motorcycles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
You're a gearhead, so
I'm a
to do this on the fly is going to be a pain.
Yeah, no worries. Go look up Fry, Bender, Akira. You'll see the image. Yeah. People will see the image. It's a great image. Check it
is
out.
a great image. Yes.
Probably the first time I saw this movie at 15 or whatever, I had a motorcycle. I was a motorcycle guy. My dad was a motorcycle guy. I'm like, oh, this is. And I already liked Power Rangers and Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, "Oh, this is like that, sort of similar to that, but they got motorcycles."
Yeah.
And that the opening animation of them fighting the biker gang just sets the tone for what you're about to experience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It really it like the art of the opening is like from the shot of old Tokyo onwards, like right off the bat, it has just the most detail that you could see in a movie at that point, animated wise. A lot of times, and they do it throughout, where it's like the foreground is real crystal clear and the background is that more like
things where it kind of pans out so that you get a depth to it as you're moving by and
but
things
a lot
like
of
that.
Older animation would have like the background's kind of like whatever, don't really.
I mean,
like,
they
it's
do
just
that as
there.
well in this.
And
we
they have a
talk
little
about
bit of it, but like usually they do. That's used for like a big wide shot
Yes.
where everything in the background's kind of fuzzed out. But for the big wide shots in the beginning, it is like you said it when we were watching it, Zach. Every frame of this movie could be a poster.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
It's all perfect. It's so good.
Also, since we're in the beginning, we need to get this right out of the way. The music is amazing in this. It's a lot of very tribal,
like traditional Japanese percussion.
Yeah. Like there's just like drum solos and stuff within. You know what I mean? Like it's very, very percussion-y.
Yeah.
Very
and I feel
eerie.
like that, it also with that it keeps you in the moment, which is what a score is supposed to do. It's supposed to accent all of the feelings of everything that are going on, and it's like it's got that heartbeat to it where it's just like it's telling you when you should be like anxious or when you should be like a little bit more terrified,
because they're also not afraid to just give you nothing in the background. Or my favorite thing is when they're walking through the streets and you hear somebody like, "Oh, I should have gotten an ice cream cone." You know what I mean? Like it has nothing to do with the story, but you hear other people talking, so it gave more to that scene.
We should say though that in case anyone's wondering, we watched the 2001 Pioneer English dub.
Yeah, so technically Kyle has seen only the dub version of the
Yes.
latest rendition.
I've never seen whatever other dubs, and I've never seen it with original
when I started watching it,
subtitles.
I didn't watch the original 1991,
I think it was. Yeah,
whatever the original English dub is. When I got into it, it was past 2001. So I only ever knew the
version that we
saw, and that is.
And there are differences.
So there's differences, but that is the more definitive.
Yeah, and if you're in the chat and you're an Akira fan
English
and you've seen all three versions, let us know if one is better than the other. If I'm going to make a second watch.
The real weebs are going to say to watch in Japanese.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I mean, we had this discussion after we were watching it because, I've talked about how I've started like Attack on Titan in Japanese and then tried to watch the American, and I'm like, I don't mind reading the subs in this one because there's so much more emotion going into the Japanese voice work, where the American's like, oh no, you're eating my mom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like there's something taken away, and I feel like it's a specific, for a little while, especially when you were getting anime coming into America, it felt like there was a specific small group of people who were doing a lot of the voice work for a lot of different projects. Yeah. Tried and true, get the people in, record what you need, done.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, some of the differences is there's a scene where the kids are getting disciplined by the principal at the school, and in the version we watched, the guy, I'm assuming gym teacher or something, comes up and he starts slapping the boys, and he's just like, discipline, discipline, discipline. In the other version, he's saying shut up, so he's slapping him. He's like, shut up, shut up.
Little changes like that can definitely
Carlos?
affect the mood and the feeling of a specific scene.
Yes,
I get what you're saying there.
Yeah.
All right, so back to the synopses.
The synopsis.
Before,
so they come in the bar. They say, "Oh, we're gonna go fight the clowns on Route 5." When they exit the bar to get on their bikes, the first time you see the bike in the movie, the light bike, Kaneda's bike, you see Tetsuo behind it talking about how cool it is.
Oh yeah,
and immediately, like, the first interpersonal reaction you see between Kaneda and Tetsuo is she's like, "Oh, get off my bike! You couldn't handle it anyway."
Yeah,
and
it establishes their relationship in one.
Yeah, it establishes that the
quick sentence,
hero of the film is a bit of a cocky jerk.
He's a little bit of a.
But you don't
D-bag,
get the real explanation until the end of the movie as to why he's a cocky jerk.
Yeah.
So you just get
He starts off with this sort of. I mean, I guess you got to be a cocky jerk to be the head of the motorcycle gang.
I mean, the rest of them are a bunch of idiots. Let's be honest here.
Yeah. But immediately there's this sort of relationship between Kaneda and Tetsuo that is
diminishing.
Yes,
diminishing off the bat. We get them.
My impression, having again it being the first time watching the movie, is that I wasn't sure if they were going to go into the background of whether or not they were raised in the same orphanage or whatever it was going to wind up being, or they were neighbors, they were cousins, brothers, who knows at this point, but it had the vibe of big brother, little brother.
Which you don't get right away, but the first couple scenes, you get a diminishing set of friends to me, because after a while, he's just like, I'm tired of you coming to save me, and I can take care of myself,
Exactly. That's where I felt like it was like a little brother, big brother, kind of a bully.
Sure.
And the guy with the hot, bike, the guy with the cool outfit versus the other, peons sitting around.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's the initial setup, and then they drive through the city. You get a bunch of beautiful shots.
The streaming of the lights.
The lights coming out of the taillights of the bike is so neat.
Yeah.
And then it switches to the scene where the wounded guy with the gun is going through the city, carrying what looks like an elderly child.
Well, he's dragging an elderly child, running from dogs.
Actually, following him and everything.
The background that I have chosen is part of that scene. On the right hand side, you can see the police dogs that are chasing them down, and they run past a store.
Very cool.
So that brings the start of the brutality of the film. He's dragging this old child through the streets, and he's shooting. And when they kill the dogs, that's when you're like, oh, this is not.
It's not a kid's
This
show.
is not a kid's movie.
This ain't your daddy's cartoon.
Yeah, there's all this political unrest happening. There's protesters in the street, and the cops release dogs on this guy. And in rush hour traffic, this guy shoots the police dogs.
Yep.
And there's blood, and the dog hits the car, and you know what I mean. And
they showed a little kid reacting to the dog getting shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
in the backseat of a car in a traffic jam.
Didn't pull any punches with the start of this. Just really hit it.
Well, then we get to the.
Sorry, I'm just staring at you.
Well, that's at that scene. That's when we're sort of introduced to I forget her name, but she's basically like the freedom fighters. Tetsuo's yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's where we're kind of introduced to her character.
Oh, Tetsuo's girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
Trying to be.
No, not Tetsuo's girlfriend.
Not Tetsuo's girl.
The operative. Okay, she's the freedom fighter.
Oh, the actual freedom. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And you see her in the crowd with another guy, and you get this sort of like spy sort of feeling from them. But then the big thing that happens, they introduce the biker gang. They introduce this weird little child, and while the capsules are fighting the clowns, Tetsuo sort of takes off in a wild manner and nearly hits the little kid that the man had been dragging through the streets. He got shot. That's a brutal scene too.
That whole scene
when the cops unload on that guy.
Oh yeah. It just shreds his body basically.
Is he leaning like he's over the child?
Yeah, he's blocking the child.
Protection. Yeah.
And I think that was. I turned to you while we were watching this and said, just like 2019 is supposed to be, right?
Oh yeah, that is like a weird. Is that the weird coincidence you were kind of talking about before, or is that an additional?
No, there's a lot
because that is like you're like 2019. Oh, cops, protesters, a lot of firearms going off. That's pretty.
Yeah,
close
not one rubber bullet. Just 25 cops unloading the whole clip into one man.
And again, the weird child, old elderly child.
Well, that's because one thing that I don't know if they actually. I mean, they do explain it, but one thing when you're introduced to this, yes, you see this old child, but you don't realize that they've been doing experiments on children and things have been going awry.
Yeah, you don't know anything. I mean, in that moment, you just go, okay, that's a weird old child, or it's an alien, or it's something. At that point, I mean, once I realized that the guy in the red shirt isn't Akira, in my head I'm just going, is that Akira?
Mitsu?
Is this Akira? Is that Akira? Which one of these people's Akira?
You're talking about Mitsu?
I'm talking about
the main character,
Kaneda.
Oh, Kaneda.
Once I realized that he isn't Akira, once they say his name, I'm like, okay. And then this weird little old man kid comes in, and I'm just like, oh, that's Akira then.
Yes.
And it's like, no, it's not Akira. No one's Akira in this movie, apparently.
No, there's an Akira.
There is. We get there eventually.
Yeah.
So that scene, the brutality of everything, the police shooting him down, and then that guy dies in the street, right? That guy dies in the street, and then the kid runs off into the darkness.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
he runs off in the darkness, and I think then it cuts to the principal's office.
No, because
they go on that chase. That's right.
Yeah, so they're still fighting the clowns, and Tetsuo takes off, and he runs across the kid in the middle of the street.
Yeah, on
and
a
that's
bridge
when
somewhere.
you see right before he hits him with his bike, sort of that light that surrounds him explodes Tetsuo's bike.
Yep.
And he's laying there. Then everyone else comes up, and that's when the military shows up, and you meet the colonel for the first time.
Yep.
Great character, and this is where it's again having no idea what I'm getting myself into watching this. You immediately think, okay, this is the big bad for the movie. Like this guy is going to be the one that like brings like the end or whatever is happening. Like this guy is just evil, and then I'm proven wrong like most of the rest of the movie.
I will say the amount of respect that they actually show to the military on this, like having this guy as an honorable, like he doesn't come off that way because he's a military guy, and the same thing like you said. When I first watched him, like, okay, that's the villain that we have to worry about. He just took Tetsuo, takes this other guy, and then there's another little old being floating around, like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, like this guy's obviously doing something to these children. Or to these old people, still not sure in that moment what's going on.
The Colonel's an interesting character because there's times when it seems like he is doing everything for the betterment of society.
Sure.
Yeah.
He is not doing anything for his own personal gain.
Yeah.
Even at the end, when it's basically a coup in the government, he's not doing it to be the boss. He's doing it because he thinks
it's the right
that
thing
it is
to
the
do.
right thing to do to
kind of
save the most amount
that
of
scene
people.
in A Few Good Men, like that big pivotal, like the you can't handle the truth.
Yeah.
It's just like you get to go to sleep because of what I do in the darkness type of thing. Like I might not be doing something that is morally right, but I'm doing something that in the end.
Yo, what's up, Joey?
Oh, you gotta urinate.
I will say the one big key thing that to the breakdown of his character is when he's talking to Anashi, the doctor.
Yeah.
And he's like, if the levels get too high, because I'm sort of jumping ahead because we'll get to that in a second. But the moment he's like, when the levels get too high, we have to kill this kid.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, okay, he's
and at this
actually
point, have
honorable.
they established that they have numbers, not names? Because the one that they're chasing is technically number 26. Or just 26.
Which, spoiler, we'll get into big influences on that once we get to it. But right now we're still at the bridge. The government's there and the general. But he is very honorable in the sense of, like, wanting to keep the safety and lives of the people he's protected. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're running a science experiment that's going to blow up the world, shut it down before it gets to that point, or let me know. And if you can't make the decision, I will do the bad task.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like you're the scientist, I am the military man.
If you can't press the button, I'll press the button.
Me. Oh yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. So on the bridge.
So this weird thing happens between Tetsuo and the first. Espers is what they're called. They don't ever say that in the movie.
Okay.
But that is what the three children are called, the Espers.
The precogs?
Yes, the precogs. Takashi is that one, the young boy who walks.
Number 26.
Yeah.
It's the only number I know out of all of them. And I don't even know if I'm right with that, but I believe he was 26. So where does it go after the bridge?
The military takes Tetsuo away.
Okay.
And the colonel convinces Takashi to come back with him, along with the kid that.
Technically.
Yeah, Takashi is the kid.
Masaru.
Masaru is the one in the floating sort of chair.
Oh yeah,
in the wheelchair.
The old little Donald Trump kid.
Yes. And Masaru.
Kyoko.
Kyoko is the girl.
Little girl.
Is the girl.
Yeah.
Kyoko is the precog.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
She's in like that.
The pool.
Yeah, but it's like sort of a glass enclosure.
Okay.
Right.
Then they take the boys to
school and
a detention center.
Yes.
And that's the important thing. In the detention center, they make up this whole lie. Why were you out on the highway? And they say, well, we were visiting his dying mother. Kind of his dying mother. They're like, and the military guy that's, reading them all this was like, how's she doing? Oh, full recovery. Like you and the whole motorcycle gang got in this huge accident and sent 8 guys from the opposing motorcycle gang to the hospital.
Or
why?
worse.
Well, because we were visiting my mother who was about to die. But you know what? She didn't die. She's fine.
Recovery now, yeah.
And that's when you see sort of.
Well, they lock up his bike at that point, right?
No, they don't. They don't steal his. They don't take his bike because he gets his bike back.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But that's when you see sort of the breakdown that has happened in society.
Yeah.
When it comes out of the room where the boys are into this police precinct that is just wall to wall with just punks.
Yeah.
and you see all the wildness that is going on, and then when they start talking to the guy that was reading them all the crap, he's like, "Oh, you're just an old man," and he's like, "I'm 25." That's when you see okay, so the world is at this point so messed up that you either become some sort of teenage biker gang, or at 25 you
are an old
military man, because those are your two choices in life.
And if you don't want those, you got to wait till the drug dealing bartender dies and take his job.
Also, I will say the rest of the population seems very content with running to tragedy. Like most people are well, I don't want to say most people, but like a good portion of stuff today. Like when that shooting was going on, there was a crowd of people. When things start to go awry within the city, there's always a crowd. People are
every time they show a TV screen, it's just showing protests and people firebombing things. There's never
it is a city
under fire, all the time.
And that scene there with the people and how they're acting, you see the duality between the street kid and the military-industrial complex is sort of where the whole cyberpunk genre comes from. When you see the future of every movie that is sort of, or game or whatever, in that sort of cyberpunk feel, there's always that like hardcore, hard-ass military lifestyle versus like that street punk sort of lifestyle. And that's like the first film that really had that front and center. When
that side of things,
oh, the future's messed up, man.
Especially the scene of them walking out of the detention center and the girls meeting them and everything, and everybody asking about Tetsuo and where's Tetsuo. That scene right there, I went, oh, this is kind of like, to put it kind of crudely, it's kind of like Grease or The Outsiders, where you've got the socials and the greasers, or you've got the straight-laced, the preps and the greasers, and the greasers have their girls, and like these girls hang out with these guys, they don't hang out with the other people. So it definitely rung true in that, like, let's show the divide, the natural divide that happens at this point.
There's the guy who tries to do the grenade. In that scene, this crazy guy comes into the police station with a grenade and tries to blow it up and kill himself, like like a bomber with all the.
Because you got to figure if in this movie they're all supposed to be 15 years old, more or less,
probably
like 15, 16 years old at the oldest. So that means that they were born in 2003, 2004, and then now that's taking place 2019. So they are second or third generation.
Welcome back, Mr. Rampage.
Hey, welcome back. So they're like first generation or second generation born after World War III. So there are other people that, like the guy pulling the grenade, like is older than them, but he might be only like 25. He might be an old man of 25.
That's the one thing with animation, you don't necessarily.
But he could be a prior street punk that joined the resistance side of things.
Right.
And it's like if you make it out of being a street punk, you either are going to live long enough to see yourself become the cop, or you're going to join the rebellion, so to speak. But I thought that definitely just hit really, really well, and that part of it was executed. You knew who these kids were. If you didn't up until that point, that scene of them leaving and just like how they were, and even Kaneda's demeanor about things, just kind of like whatever, just like walking out, like Tetsuo. I don't know if he says it specifically, but it's basically like Tetsuo, that idiot. Of course he got himself.
I gotta go save him.
Yeah, I gotta go save him again. Yeah.
Also, the grenade scene also shows how dumb the resistance or whatever is, because the grenade never goes off.
The
grenade doesn't
wildest
go off.
part, he tries to light the grenade and then just gets pummeled by police officers. And that's another brutal scene with the blood, and they basically smash this guy's skull in. But that leads them to be able to get out of there. And the important thing that happens is Kaneda recognizes the girl that because he's a horny young kid. He sees some girl in another sort of red-orange jacket.
You're talking about Kay.
Kay. And it was like, oh,
Thunder?
She's with us. And so he's able to save her from police interrogation by lying that she's part of the group.
Yes.
And that's what.
And then proceeds to be
well,
thirsty as all hell.
Oh, so
thirsty.
such a jerk.
What are you doing later? What are you doing? You
Well,
come with me? Why would you want to come with me?
Can we real quick talk about how that is set up? It's literally people picture a very long hallway with benches on either side.
Yeah.
You know, and they're being released, and he sees Kay there, and he's like, "Oh, but we have one more. She just got separated," and points to her, and she's like,
It's the
what?
equivalent of the rock star on stage going, "You,
yeah,
like come with me." And it's like, of course, she'll take the exit, but she wants nothing to do with you after that.
But his attempts are hilarious, dude.
Oh, yeah.
They're so great.
It is the biggest... it might as well have been a Sprite commercial, how much he was obeying his thirst.
Oh, man.
And that's when you see, like, his natural state of being is careless, reckless, chasing
self-centered,
girls,
just him.
Self-centered.
Yeah, 100%.
He's just a punk with nothing to live for.
And nothing to lose.
And nothing to lose, you know? And I like that the hero is not a selfless
good
paladin.
person.
Yeah.
It's very weird to say hero because I feel like there's a lot of anti-heroes and heroes mixed into this whole bag here.
Yeah.
Well, a lot with this movie is nobody's
a good person.
No one's a good person, but no one is necessarily pure evil.
Yeah.
No, the people that are quote unquote bad as people are following the put number one first. You know, like you always look out for number one. They're taking that mentality, which post World War III and your city has been decimated, you have to look out for yourself. And especially if you're in that street punk, you know, way of living, you might have a crew that you roll with.
Yeah.
But if the whole crew's getting pinched and you can make it, you know, out, you're leaving.
Also,
and you're looking out for yourself.
When it gets to Tetsuo sort of becoming a bad character, he's not really a bad character. It's just that I feel like he's been picked on and felt
he's
like
a
the
person
low
put
guy
into a situation
where you get power.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, and then he realizes that he didn't have the control of it that he did.
What's that old phrase? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Like, this is a good example.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So they get out of the police's hair, and you sort of feel like the cops just let him go because there was too much paperwork and they were dealing with too much crap.
Yeah.
And then that is one of my favorite cinematography scenes when Kaneda is trying to woo Kay.
Oh, the walk
and they're
scene?
walking through, and there's these pillars that come down in front, and it's just the way things are animated in this, where previously to that there would be some sort of shortcut. They're like, well, why would we design a building like this? Because then we have to draw everyone.
Yeah.
In this movie, they're like, no, we'll make it harder to animate.
Yeah.
Because it'll feel more like a real building.
And it does.
Especially when they zoom into the centers of buildings and you're like, oh, that's a pretty bright light, and then you realize that it's literally animated cells of you know.
And the perspective, how the perspective moves as the characters move, basically like the camera is not static. The camera is moving with someone just like you would if you were shooting a
Which again,
film.
to reiterate, hand drawn. Like,
so
this is absurd.
To put into perspective, if you can't really picture it, imagine playing Super Mario Brothers on NES and the background moving in ways that, you know, it's a parallax background. We get that a lot in HTML now and specific videos where your main thing is moving, but then you have a background that might be moving a little bit slower in the background while the foreground of the background is moving
to
quicker.
Give you that depth.
And,
yeah.
you know, there's a lot of little tricks that they did that was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Then we get the cool scene. So Tetsuo's in the hospital being overseen. This is where you meet the doctor.
Yes.
Onishi, who is just your crazy, typical mad scientist.
Out of anybody, I'm just going to say this now, I feel like he is the ultimate villain. At the end of it, because he pushed for science.
Yeah.
He pushed the science button
but he
a
didn't
little
push
bit
it
too far.
for his own purpose. He pushed it for the sake of science.
I know, but that made him, to me, a villain because for science, not that he was a bad person,
but it is
but
also,
as a scientist, I can see him wanting to know that knowledge.
And it is reflective of...
it's Pandora's box.
Well, it's Pandora's box, but it's also reflective of how the Japanese scientists during World War II were pushing the envelope with science by doing things...
how all scientists during World War II.
Well, exactly. But there was a lot of stuff between Germany and Japan where they were just like, well, we're just going to see what happens when you're eating a piece of cheese and I jam you with a fork right here in the brain, and they find it so having a scientist character in this coming from being written by people that were born post World War II, and
there's a lot going on in Japanese cinema post World War II, and still today about nuclear, and things that
to go back to Godzilla.
You know what I mean? When you look at when America dropped the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, of how that was more than an act of brutality. It was an act of scientific brutality.
Yeah.
And so the Doctor in this represents that sort of the brutal side of science.
Like everything in the name of science. Yeah. Like the means will justify the
we
end.
need to figure out what this
will justify the means.
We need to figure out what this is and how it does and how it interacts, yes. And I feel like Japan, that's always going to be the overlaying theme of, is science always a good thing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like should we have opened that box?
So while you don't have a bad character, and you have a guy who seems pretty decent for the most part, kind of happy-go-lucky, sort of doing his own science thing,
just doing your science. I'm just doing my science thing over here.
But overall, he could have done other things to not make certain things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's where we get the sweet Tetsuo in the scanner.
Oh yeah.
Which was directly ripped off for the Harder, Better, Stronger, Faster video from Kanye West.
That whole thing's been ripped off a billion times. It's been in Fifth Element, maybe not elevated, but having a container.
That container like that.
Something that scans anything that sort of scan. I mean, even modern technology, MRI machines, and CAT scans, all
I've been
that
in
stuff.
that machine where they invert you down to see how your head responds to pressure from, I have no idea what it's supposed to do.
Oh, when you had the stress test. Right?
Yeah, when I had the stress test. Yeah, they see how you respond and everything. That immediately brought me to that, and then also it's going to come up multiple times with Stranger Things. Like so much of this show, of the show Stranger Things, is taken from Akira.
Yeah,
from,
we'll get to where
from
the real
patients
core
and the children and all of that. But this is one of those first ones where I'm like, oh yeah, that 1980s futuristic tech.
2009, 20. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if you really think about it, they sort of nailed one thing.
Yeah, they saw it down the line pretty good. It also kind of rung a little bit X-Men for me, It had that feel of all of the stuff in the 2000 X-Men movie. From
just the design of Cerebro.
Yeah, Cerebro just
works.
Exactly. Exactly.
So they run the tests, and that's the first you get mention of Akira.
Right.
Okay.
Because he has the flashback to it, right?
Yeah.
Does he have the?
No. Well, they sort of start mentioning about Tetsuo has some sort of psychic power that and the Doctor has that scanner.
Right.
And that was the big computer animated selling point of computer animation.
Which they totally redid that. It does
scanner.
not look the same in other versions.
Oh,
in the one that we watched, yes, it's just a nicer looking orb. Where in the first one it kind of looks like smoke coming off the top.
Okay.
Where you don't really have an outer shell. You know how it kind of built up.
Yeah.
When the first time when they're looking at it, and it's like, oh, the levels are pretty, decent, and it's that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a bluish gray with some smoke coming out of it.
Okay.
So there are things that they did alter and change on the remaster. I mean, nothing core wise, but
in the first mentioning of Akira, or alluding to what Akira is or what we're going to find out about Akira, you know now that, like, okay, there's something from the interaction that Tetsuo had with the child that is giving him whatever telekinetic powers, whatever he's going to gain there. Now, doesn't really ever go into where the children came from. Like, they're obviously
not until the end.
Yeah, not until the end. But this is where you first get the hint that, to go back to the evil doctor scientist thing, that, like, okay, well, like, they've been doing this. Like, this is something that they've been doing.
Yeah, we don't know what level at this point. Yeah. You know, because the only other interaction we have is we see two of them.
Yeah. But this is the first time that they've ever experienced somebody that was not originally one of their patients having these abilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, so they sort of spoon feed you the story slowly of what
What's up,
happens.
Snow? Welcome to the stream.
Welcome.
Snow, are you that? You the Canadian rapper?
Ayo.
Snow Cloud.
You know the
Informer.
Informer. That's the
Informer,
song.
The Canadian rapper.
Yeah, the Canadian rapper. Hey, he's not Jamaican. Weird.
Weird.
So then they cut, and the next character you meet is Kaori, who is the saddest character in the whole movie. It's
I feel
Tetsuo's
so bad
girlfriend.
for this girl. The whole movie.
The boys come back to where they live, the sort of boarding school they live at, without Tetsuo, who's in the hospital getting scanned by the colonel.
Yep.
And all the other girls come up and see their guys, and that's, like you said, it was like the Grease scene.
Yeah.
And Kaori is like, "Where's Tetsuo?" And everyone's just like, "Oh, the jerk got hurt."
Yeah. He's in the hospital. We don't know where we're going to go find him.
She's like, "What? Like, he's like, what?" They're like, "Yeah, he was crashed his motorcycle.
Big dummy.
He'll be all right."
Yeah.
And like, you're so sad.
Yeah.
And then Tetsuo shows back up. He's able to escape from the hospital.
Which that scene, the moment that he realized, because I mean, like, that's the one where he breaks out and starts, like, exploding people, correct? No. Oh, that's right. That's right. He escapes and then steals the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first time he breaks out of the hospital, he breaks out and he comes back to find Kaori, his girlfriend.
Yep.
And he's got the head bandage on.
Yep.
And then him and her decide to run away, so they steal Kaneda's bike.
Yep. The big red, the
light
red
bike.
bike.
Yeah, the big red bike.
Yes.
Sponsored by Big Red.
Bikes.
And so they take off on Kaneda's bike, but he can't keep it running because it's a complicated machine. And there is some technical dialogue
and there was
about
the foreshadowing of you couldn't handle this. Coming into Hi.
What's up, Caden?
Luckily for them, the rest of the boys see them take off.
Yeah.
And they go, "Whoa, Tetsuo just stole my bike. We're gonna run him down and find him."
Uh-huh.
Unlucky for them, the clowns see him.
Yep.
And he stalls the bike because he can't run it. Gets beat up by the clowns.
But she gets beat up.
She gets really messed up.
Yeah, she gets messed up. She gets punched in the face.
And luckily, that's when
the rest of the crew show up. And
thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
But then the government has been tracking him.
Yeah.
Because they on the doctor's scanner they can track that sort of mental power that Tetsuo has, and then they show up, which scares the clowns off, and then that's when.
Well, he also starts losing it too. He starts grabbing his head.
Yeah, he has that whole hallucination scene, which is just burned into the back of my brain. Yeah. He starts Tetsuo starts having these hallucinations and holding his head. And when his guts come out, he has a hallucination where his stomach opens.
Yep.
And
he's trying to scoop it back. Like it cuts back to him there. Oh man.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to him just scooping the air.
Yeah.
Obviously it was a hallucination, but that scene is up there with like the Another Brick in the Wall video where they're putting the kids through the grinder.
Yeah.
And like Mufasa getting trampled.
Yep.
It's like just like
the tugging at your hearts, but also
my
freaking
God,
out.
Like really.
Yeah.
like
That's also been in other movies. I don't know which ones, but I'm almost 100% sure. Like somebody's on a psychedelic or something, like a slasher movie gets it and is trying to scoop their guts back in.
One of the Living Dead movies had that, but that could have been before.
I mean, that was probably
no. It might have been one of the '90s ones.
Maybe
with the scooping the guts back in.
But yeah, definitely that scene. I remember that was the moment where I just went, "Oh, you don't want to watch this in an altered mindset." Way too real, way too quick for you.
It'd be a very heavy movie. But yeah, that scene, that whole setup, and now we're really like. The movie kind of goes from 0 to 60 in
it takes
30
a little
seconds.
build up. It takes a little bit of build up to get to this point, and then from here it just smacks you.
Yep. And the other cool thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, is when he's getting these flashbacks, that's when the bells start, and every time the bells start, flashbacks start happening. Correct?
Well, the first time you hear the bells is when the doctor first looks at the scanner.
Yes.
Okay.
When he's first at the scanner.
Yeah.
But I'm saying each time it kind of like gets more and more full.
Yeah,
you get
the
a bigger
soundtrack
bell.
has these wild, sort of super reverbed out bell sounds that are really neat.
Yeah, and I think that it goes sort of hand in hand with his flashbacks and like the pain that you know what I mean? It sets up like this whole thing of like this just reverberating bell that's really messing with him.
The power, they never explain it, but the scanner sort of makes that noise, and when he does things, there's sort of that noise. So it's sort of like the noise of the psychokinetic powers.
Right.
You know what I mean? When you hear that bell, you know that's the focus, the thing that you should be focused on in the scene.
Right.
Which is a cool way.
It's a little Pavlov's dog thing going on. Yeah.
So the government again takes Tetsuo away, and this time the colonel recognizes the gang.
Yeah. He just leaves him on there.
He just leaves him on the street, and Carrie, her face all swollen up, her shirt ripped off, all beat up, like.
Yeah, just they really don't hold back on her. Just like she just gets the brunt of everything.
Yeah, and I mean I think that's also foreshadowing of Tetsuo not really being able to take care of himself.
Yeah.
And if he can't take care of himself, how's he going to take care of his girlfriend?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and the gang having to come back through, and I think that whole build-up also leads up to the next coming scenes, where when he is finally back in there, and we're starting to get flashbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah. So after they take Tetsu away, and then there's every time there's like an in between scene, it's just political distress. It's civil unrest.
Is that when
on.
At some point the bike gets locked up for a bit though? Because he doesn't have access to his bike. He has to actually.
No, it's just under the cover. He doesn't ever lose access to his bike.
I thought for some reason they said that his bike was maybe that's my misconception this whole time, that his bike got locked up. That's why he didn't really
comes
have it.
back from
I know he gets
the fight
it again.
in the hospital. He has to get the bike, but it's not. No one ever takes it away from him.
Okay.
Besides Tetsuo.
Okay.
So then the boys minus Tetsuo are out at night, and that's when you first see the Akira cult people.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Down on the street, there is like a cult who worships the idea,
coming of Akira.
The coming of Akira.
Yeah.
And that's when you start to learn, like, okay, so the city got destroyed because of Akira, but what is Akira?
Yeah. Is it is it like Godzilla?
Is it a monster? Is it a bomb? Was it a bomb? You know what I mean? What was it?
Yeah.
And you see these cult members worshiping it, and then the bomb goes off, and the cops kill more people.
Yep.
And
in that spot, that's definitely where, for me, first watch, I was thinking, okay, Akira is a bomb. Like Akira went off in the 80s. And that is what blew everything up, which I'm like half right about, but I'm right, but not for the right reasons.
Right.
And then I'm like, okay, so Akira goes off, and they're waiting for Akira to come back. So I'm thinking, okay, this cult of the worshippers of Akira are waiting and wanting for the end of everything.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, they want the end of the world to come and Akira to come, and that'll be like the rapture for them. And then in my brain, I remember thinking, oh, this is how you stop worrying and learn to love the bomb. Almost. So I was like, it's going to be like a little reference to that. which I'm not really right about.
Almost though I feel as they feel like they're going to be saved by this. Whatever the madness or whatever it is, they feel like they're going to be protected from this. Bringing them back,
They want destruction of society, just like any other good punk wants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
We all know from experience here. But so then Kaneda sees Kay, because she's a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
And so he chases after her.
What's up, John?
During the cops are shooting people.
Yeah.
Bombs are going off. The death cult is chanting, and Kaneda is like, "Oh, that pretty girl! I better chase her down."
Yeah.
And we all have friends like that in the middle of a war would be like, "Ooh, I'll be right back."
And then there's
girl,
that.
What's up, mama? What's
the
up, pretty
first
lady?
sewer scene,
Yes.
which always gets me.
This is the crab, the hovering crab.
No, the first sewer scene.
No, the first one where they're
So
running through,
so she's running away. Kay's running away from some cops or government operatives, and Kaneda's following her, and he comes down off the thing and knocks the one guy out into the sludge, and he falls into the sludge. And just the way they animate the sludge from the sewer on his face,
because we all
and
know
how he's
what
like,
it is.
it's poo. We all know it's poo.
It's poo.
But then
she shoots.
Then she shoots a guy in the face,
and the way he slumps down into it is great.
And the way you don't often think of facial emotion portrayals in animation, but when they show her face and you see that when she just shoots the guy, like, well, this is the first time
she's killed
a person.
Yeah.
And then you look at Kaneda covered in crap, you're like, he's never killed him. He can't do it.
He's a child.
He's a child.
He's
he
a
can't
child
do
with a
anything.
cool bike.
And he just chased after this woman who had to kill a police officer to prevent him from killing her.
To be fair, he may have killed people unknowing on bikes.
Yeah, maybe, but not.
But he's never face to face pulled a trigger, taken a life.
But he does give her crap about it. Like, what are you gonna do? You just killed a man, and you can't, almost like you can't take it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with you.
Yeah.
He's that persistent. Like, don't worry, I'll protect you.
Yep. He's following something, and I don't think it's his brain.
And so he follows her until she meets up with the rest of the operatives that she works with. They lock Kaneda in the closet. He gets out, but he overhears them talking, and it was their group, one of their group, that had tried to kidnap Takashi.
Yes.
The guy who gets shot in the opening
was part
of the movie was part of Kay's group,
Yep.
who tried to kidnap one of the Esper children to get them away from the government because they think that that's going to help prevent the return of Akira.
Right.
And so when he hears that and he breaks in, they're about to kill him, he convinces them that the person they're looking for is Tetsuo, is his best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way he gets in the good graces of the rebellion is by pure accident, by being friends with someone who just happens to have psychokinetic powers, and by skirt chasing a member of the rebellion.
Yes. Very much so.
Then we get some more wild hallucination scenes of
him in the hospital.
Tetsuo in the hospital.
This is ultimately where I'm going to say it right now. Stranger Things, Resident Evil, name any scientific movie where somebody breaks out of a hospital.
Mm-hmm. Well, even,
has taken inspiration
so much
from.
of this has Minority Report, the movie, not necessarily.
Well,
the
I was going to say the three of them, the three kids, the three Espers,
they're obviously the Minority Report, but just like when Tom Cruise has to get new eyes and he's like running from everybody, like that whole scene.
Yes,
it's this.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is the. The three kids sort of break into his room mentally, and try to stop him from using his powers.
Yeah, this is a fun scene.
It's a really fun
scene of the teddy bear. It's this teddy bear falls off his bed, and then it's a tiny little teddy bear. And then it's a giant teddy bear, and it starts smashing the windows. And he steps on the glass, and he's pulling the glass out of his foot. It's hard to describe how with no dialogue, how visually intense.
Oh man!
I thought you were going to say the word visceral, but it is visceral.
It is very visceral.
It is visceral.
Very visceral.
I will say, if you're not in the right mindset, that could really mess you up.
Yeah, it really could. Like in that moment, like it's one of those things where, like, if you're watching, like, you know, the show Jackass, and somebody gets, you know, like, smacked in the crotch, and you're like, "Ooh, I feel for you." When he hits the glass, you're like, "Oh no!" Like,
yeah, and the glass goes into his foot,
and that's the only real thing happening.
Yeah, and there's a 20-foot teddy bear trying to kill him.
Well, what was the three? It was a car.
Yeah, there's a car, a teddy bear, and
a
rabbit.
Yeah, rabbit.
So I'm just gonna say this: Five Nights at Freddy's for that game would never exist.
Five Nights at Freddy's stole the look.
Yes.
The deranged look of the animals directly
100%.
from this.
Yes.
You know
and
what
this could have... No, I don't, but it's
also... basically a haunted Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, okay.
The animatronics come to life and try to kill
The
them.
reference I was going to make in this moment was I thought that the influence that they had making this was the Heffalumps and Woozles in the Winnie the Pooh, where it all of a sudden gets... Remember that? Like how in the 60s... Like, every cartoon had to have a terrible, trippy moment.
Yeah, because everyone was on LSD in the 60s.
Exactly.
Everyone had, like, just like, things are really good. Oh, it's really dark. It's really dark right now.
What happens when Pooh can't get his honey, apparently? You know, like...
Well, that's when Blood and Honey comes out.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, the Heffalumps and Woozles definitely, like, the changing size of everything and, like, the intensity and the
done
the
so
terror.
well, and then the realization that it's one of the kids, like when it disappears, when they all get freaked out because they're trying to freak him out.
Yep.
You know. Yeah. So once they freak, once he freaks the other kids out,
and he realized that it's the kids.
Yep.
And this is when you realize more of. They start to unfold the story.
Yeah.
You see that Kyoko has a 25 tattooed on her.
Yep.
Is that the first time that we're introduced to Kyoko? I don't remember. All right, so in this timeline where
that's
we're
the
at
first
right now,
time you. I believe that's the first time you see Kyoko.
That's when they're reading. The scientist is No, because we see him before that. She's sleeping or something weird on that. She's in a bubble.
The colonel is talking to her. She's in the crib with
the crib. Yeah,
is that when the scientist is reading the charts
and he's
and
he's doing the scientist is doing charts.
Yeah,
and you see that she has a 25 on her, and she makes the prediction that she tells the scientist that Akira is going to come back and destroy everything.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that's the first time you're like, come back.
Yeah.
Like, so Akira can't be a machine or a bomb or...
Yeah,
Akira
it's something
is
that's
some sort of being.
Yeah.
Because it can come back.
Right. It's kind of like when Superman left and, like, went off to his ice palace. Like, maybe Akira's just, you know, on another plane of existence right now.
But we still don't know if it's an alien type thing.
Yeah.
We are... I'm sorry, looking at the synopsis here. We're too early in the hallucination scene. Before the hallucination scene is when they go to the underground, where she. Makes, So before the hallucination scene,
that's
with
when
the teddy
the doctor
bears,
is
The doctor is scanning Kyoko. That's the first time you meet her, and she says Akira's coming back. And they have that whole scene where they go underneath the Olympic Stadium.
Yes, and look at Akira.
Because this is
look at Akira.
So they go into this frozen. On the computer thing on the dub, it says 0 degrees Kelvin, which I don't think is possible on there. Yeah. But whatever. So they open the huge frozen chamber.
Which that scene was really cool because when they do it from the inside and it starts opening, the way that they layered visuals where it's completely black on the outside, then you have a stray of like gray light that it's illuminating a little bit more, and then a little bit more, you know, like. Really, really cool stuff, and the ice and smoke coming off of the latches was really awesome.
And they show some sort of frozen containment pod that just says Akira 28 on the top.
Thanks for being
here. So that's
here.
when you realize that, okay, so we've got 25, 26, 27,
and
28.
This is 28.
You know, without telling you, like, okay, Akira is another one of these.
Yeah, Akira is an old child, maybe.
I love that.
Well, they don't really tell you.
But that's what you can be led to believe in that moment.
It's hard to say because it's just a little box with, like, when they actually zoom out on it, it's literally like a doorway with a bunch of things connected to it.
Yep.
Yeah. And what stole from that, the Genova in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah, Final Fantasy VII. A lot of it, the city, the bikes.
The majority of the first disc of Final Fantasy VII is directly visually ripped from this movie.
And even more
I know
in the
you don't
remake
know that,
too.
Kyle, but
Final Fantasy is a main
you're
thing
shooting
you guys
yourself in the
about.
foot for not at least knowing 7.
I mean, visually, the fly, that the thing he walks into, very much so looks like what they're storing Akira in on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
It just looks like this capsule with a torpedo door with a bunch of things connected to it.
Yeah. But, I mean, and the Final Fantasy references there are just out of control. The whole, the whole Geneva, that's a convoluted story for another time. But it is another similar thing where they're holding genetic material in some sort of stasis. And they have the Final Fantasy exactly just what the whole chamber that Akira's in looks like is exactly that.
All right.
Cloud having this big silly motorcycle, exactly that. The whole city of Midgar is Neo Tokyo.
Also, if we really want to get into it, Cloud having a giant stupid weapon, at the end of it.
Yeah.
You're fighting with a big giant weapon.
Yeah. So they do that. Then there's the hallucination scene which we talked about.
Yes.
And then is the Stranger Things scene. When Tetsuo breaks out of the hospital.
And the guards are there and they just explode.
Yeah.
Great. You get limbs flying places, just like...
So that's 2 layers deep, though, on the Stranger Things reference.
Yeah.
Because this referenced the show Elfenlied, which the creators of... It was an anime. I haven't watched a lot of it. I'm not super familiar with it. It's very gory and brutal.
Right.
And about telekinetic powers. Basically, this girl can control some sort of wires with her mind and cuts people up with them.
Okay.
So the scene where Tetsuo blows the door and cuts the body parts up was exactly copied in Elfenlied, which was exactly copied in Stranger Things with 11 busted.
Yeah.
So Stranger Things is like a copy of a copy.
Yep.
So
not even so much 11, even 1.
Oh,
you know what I mean? There's a lot of references to. I mean, Stranger Things uses a lot with, even if they have never, which would be very hard to believe that they've never watched Akira.
Oh no! I mean, they literally. That's one of my notes that I made is that the Duffer Brothers straight up have said that there's no Stranger Things without Akira.
Yeah, okay.
Everything from the children being experimented on, the art design that they went after, the numbering of the patients the way they do.
Sense.
It's like they just go, yeah, that's what we did. In the way that Lucas cannot deny that he didn't rip off Seven Samurai and everything that he built Star Wars on from Japanese film. It's the exact same way that happened. And that, I mean, at the end of everything, most art in film is just referencing and homages and influences. Like nobody, I'm sure Da Vinci was taken from some dude that he had seen some paintings of.
Yeah, stuff that we can't have any reference to anymore because it does not exist anymore. It's been gone. Also, quick note, I'm going to say it now, that Stranger Things is going to end with them being old playing D&D.
All right. Yeah, just jump to 2023 or whatever year the last season winds up happening.
But was it all ever real? Or was
no,
it all just
all D&D campaign.
All the D&D.
That's why if you lose a character, it's not that hard. It's not that terrible. You're just gonna have some of the old characters that died mad in the back.
And why they
or
just
something.
named they have.
Billy is there and
Barb is there and Bob is there. All the B's.
All of them. Yeah.
All those characters were B names, man.
Yeah.
Till the 4th season, that held up. All right, so where are we at after that?
So Tetsuo breaks out and kills all the guys and looks for the nursery. The nursery is what they call the room where the 3 kids are.
Yeah.
And he starts wreaking havoc in there. Meanwhile, while that's going on, is the second sewer scene. The hovercraft scene.
The hovercraft in the sewer scene was.
So the hovercraft,
I
obviously.
could smell that scene. It was so.
The hovercraft scene obviously is taking some inspiration from Star Wars.
Oh yeah. Definitely
land
they're taken
speeders.
from the land speeders and that.
But the goriness in this, when Kay is going to find the gun and there's an arm attached to it, and there's so much really subtle detail.
I just want to say in the story in case people are
Yeah.
So the resistance fighters are sneaking into the facility disguised as some sort of electrical worker.
Where Tetsuo is.
Yeah, into the facility where Tetsuo and the kids are
Yep.
to rescue Tetsuo.
Yes.
And so they're sneaking in through some sort of drainage sewage shaft. And that's why they're in there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they're in there. So what happens? They one land speeder comes down, kills some of the resistance guys.
Yeah.
Right, and then they kill one of the military guys.
Yeah.
And Kay gets one of the guns
with an arm
and kills. Yeah, with an
and Kaneda is able to jump onto one of the speeder.
Yep.
And get the guy off of it, and so he's driving it now.
Yes.
And with the rest of the resistance guys basically dead, it's just him and Kay left.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. All of them died. I think even her boyfriend or something at that point.
They don't ever really say that that's her boyfriend.
Well, I'm just saying, maybe not, but the leader of the lead, like he dies down there.
Yeah.
And then they have to fight another speeder, and then they get away.
Yeah. But that whole shot cinematically is epic. It is, after a movie that up until this point you have so much going on in the background, just to watch the foreground because the background is just a tunnel.
Also,
it is an eye-poppingly well done sequence.
Without not mentioning this, it's further ahead, but I have to say the elevator scene because eventually they end up in the building.
Yeah.
I just want to say this, that the scene where the elevator opens and they're sitting there and the smoke cracks up.
Yeah.
Also a billion references in other movies to that.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, a car's in here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very comedic moment of a very serious film.
Yep.
Before they get in the elevator, when they first get on the speeder craft and they come down into that tunnel, it's straight up Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yes, very
You know
much
what I
so.
mean? That whole design of that is the big shaft.
Yep.
In Empire.
Yes.
Where Luke gets his hand cut off.
Now, while that's
Spoiler alerts if you haven't seen Empire. No one watching this has not seen that, right? Is that safe to say?
I would say that's safe to say.
I mean, it depends on the age,
but hopefully you have. If not, sorry, Luke loses an arm.
Yeah, he loses.
Darth Vader's Luke Skywalker's dad.
Whoa.
Spoiler alert!
Wow.
Darth Vader's Anakin Skywalker as well.
Oh shit!
Obi-Wan is still just Obi-Wan though.
Yeah, that's true.
Obi-Wan's Ewan McGregor, dude.
Yeah,
that's true. Now, while all this stuff is going on, that's when the 3 kids start fighting. Or the 4 kids.
That's when the 3 kids are fighting Tetsuo.
Well, trying to keep their life alive. Because now they've done that whole thing. It cuts back to him, and he's enraged. And he's like, all right, well, I've seen you before. Now you're going to die. You decide to kill me. I'm going to kill you all.
Yeah.
And it goes through, like, the nursery rooms and the playrooms, and you see more of the facility at that point.
And the animation in this part of the building crumbling... this is one of the first things I remember. Tetsu's using his power, and like the rubble is floating upwards, which is now the most common.
I mean, you see it in Dragon Ball Z a lot.
Yeah, in all anime, you know what I mean. Some sort of powers.
Surrounding the Earth shifting, or you have so much power that you're altering.
Yeah, Tetsuo's hair flipped back, and the rubble floating upwards while he's fighting the kids.
Yep.
And while he's fighting them, the colonel shows up with military guys.
Yep.
At the same time that Kaneda and Kay show up on the speeder bike.
Yep. Well, they get to him and say, "Hey, we're here to save you."
Yeah. So everyone finally.
I'm here to save you.
I don't need you to save me.
You know, all the major players have finally coalesced in the nursery.
Yes.
The kids, Tetsuo, the military, the biker gang, and the resistance are now all in the same room.
Not all of the biker gang, but
but they're all
the key players. The
they're
key
all
players.
Yes.
So all the players are there, and it's like that Spider-Man meme, like, we're all. I've seen you before. Shoot, you know what I mean? And everyone's in the same room, but there is Tetsuo is clearly in control.
Also,
of what's
a way
happening.
different person. Because when Kaneda shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm here to save you. I don't need saving," and literally tries to kill him.
Yeah.
Like leaves him for dead.
Like after all of the things that after how you've made me feel so small.
Yes. Yeah.
I am now a god.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? I don't need your help anymore.
Yes, exactly.
And so to save everyone, basically, he what's her face's mind. He basically reads, Kyoko. And
well,
it's
she
not
kind of
really
talks.
says
She's kind of talking to him
if he
too.
reads her mind or she sort of lets it go.
Yeah.
But they
commune.
Somehow they communicate.
You are a golden god.
And
almost famous. Good reference.
And
welcome to the show, Broken Toe Joe.
Check out Broken Toe Joe.
I saw Joe streaming some Fortnite today on the YouTube.
I was playing a little bit with him. It was good.
Oh, were you playing?
Yeah, we got 2 wins.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
Was I watching you on TV while you were playing in the other room?
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That's great.
I had it on like. Sorry, I wasn't super paying attention. I just had it on some background while I was doing some research.
No, that was me and Joey
playing. A little bit of Fortnite.
Until I stopped playing. Yeah,
okay, nice, sweet Joe.
Golden Show Joe.
Golden Toe Joe. Nice.
No, I don't have my golden toes on.
I'm not.
But so she basically lets it slip that Akira is being held underneath the Olympic Stadium.
Yeah.
And they have been talking about this the whole time. So this is the weird other number coincidence.
Okay.
In the movie, which was made in '88, the 2020 Olympics is Tokyo.
Oh yeah.
In real life. Or whatever this sort of simulation is.
Whatever we are all in right now.
The 2020 Olympics were Tokyo.
Yeah.
But the 2020 Olympic bid for Tokyo happened in 2013.
That's crazy. I wonder if somebody grew up a fan of this movie and then was in power to be
it's
almost as close as like the Cubs making the World Series in 2016, but not 2015.
Or this is such a highly regarded movie in Japan where somebody's like, no, this has to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Somebody grew up watching it. Come on. Exactly. Like, let's push a little harder.
Yeah, so
that's funny. That is great.
They're building the Olympic Stadium. And deep underneath the Olympic Stadium is the facility.
It's a perfect place to keep it. Having games up top with a giant facility in the bottom that's negative whatever.
Zero degrees Kelvin.
Yeah,
What's negative 237 Celsius?
The field will be fine, dude. The athletes will also be fine.
Yeah, hockey will be great here.
So Tetsuo figuring out where Akira is.
Yeah.
Tetsuo still none of us. Tetsuo included, really knowing what Akira is yet.
Yeah.
Knowing that it's some sort
idea.
Of being.
Like, realistically, the scientist, the general or whatever he is, and the children are the only ones that know for sure.
You've seen the number, you've seen the thing, so you
can piece it together.
At this point, you can piece together that, okay, Akira must be like one of these beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, they do a really awesome job on communicating between the kids where they don't give you information. It's almost like Tarantino in Inglourious, where if you don't know the language, you don't get...
Oh, yeah.
You know, where they're kind of like, they don't put any audio, but they're talking to each other and there's this stuff going on.
Yeah, they're
it's
just
very
like
hush,
looking
hush.
at each other at some sort of...
And they're just like, they're making moves, but you're not included.
Yeah.
Like, they keep you far enough away so you don't actually know if they're good people, if... This whole thing's gonna, like, are they gonna morph together and form Akira? Like,
oh yeah,
you have no idea what's going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and this is another scene that got ripped right from this movie, and it was The Matrix. Tetsuo finds out that's where Akira is, so he jumps out the window, and while doing that, he figures out that he can fly.
My favorite thing is, I can do this too.
I can do this too,
and it's straight up.
This is a good spot.
The first time
might be the funniest after the stalking the girl sequence.
When Neo figures out that he can fly.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I know kung fu.
Yeah,
literally.
It is taken right from that. He's falling out the skyscraper's like, and it's funny to him how much he can do.
Oh yeah, his power. Yeah, his power is entertaining to him because it's like you got to imagine what's just coursing through his brain.
Oh yeah.
And aside from like what we're seeing and what he's projecting in those moments, it's like he has to be thinking like, am I a god? Like
also
am I
up
a
to
god?
this point, he's been in pain through all of that stuff. When he figures out he can fly and he's killing people, he doesn't seem like he's in pain.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, now
he's just like, oh, I figured it out.
He's hitting while the film is hitting its climax. The character and the trajectory of his character is hitting the pinnacle moment.
But this is where Tetsuo gets dark.
Yeah.
So on his way to the Olympic Stadium,
hey everybody,
the first place he shows up at is the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then lays to waste.
Laying the bar to waste, killing the bartender. And then
staying in the bar.
I mean,
right?
Well, he does stay in the bar, yes, because that's where
then, the rest of the gang shows up.
That's where.
Oh my god!
That's where Mitsu finds him.
So two of the guys come in.
Wait, did we ever talk about Nizu?
In like this conversation tonight?
Yes, because
I don't know what that word means. So
he is the money man to the he's the guy that we see at the end collecting all of the money.
Okay, all right.
And he ends up having the heart attack in the street.
Yeah. We haven't really brought him up yet. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when did he?
He's funding the resistance, I believe.
Yeah. That's how I took it, but again, not really 100% certain.
So you don't see him funding the resistance yet.
Well, when he's collecting the money and the resistance shows up, is that before?
No, that's way at the end.
Okay. Oh yeah. Right. When the whole thing is going off, you're right.
Hold on. Once again, we're going to take this moment to make sure you subscribe.
The first time you see
bell.
Nizu is in.
He's a parliament member of.
He's a parliament member.
Okay.
So you don't know that he's funding the resistance.
Yes.
The first time you see him, Tetsuo is when Tetsuo is in the hospital.
Right.
Before he fights the kids, there is a scene with the colonel.
Yes.
Oh, that's in his office in the bonsai tree in the background.
At Parliament,
Yeah.
And him and all the old men are arguing over everything. That's the first time you see Nizu.
Yeah.
So is when you see the couch animations where they actually put the details in
that's
the
very
couch.
Early. That's very early on. Yeah. So then we're at the part where he is flying.
So he goes back and he flies back to the bar. He the two of the Capsule Gang members come in, Yamagata and Kai, who who did the voice of in the 2001 dub?
Who?
No.
Matt Mercer.
Wait.
Matt Mercer also does the voice. I've been playing Persona 5 lately. Matt Mercer from Critical Role.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy
The more you
cow.
get into Japanese stuff, the more you realize that Matt Mercer did a voice in everything.
Oh, I mean, most modern video games you're gonna find Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer has done everything.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I didn't realize that Kai, the other gang member that makes it through the whole movie, is Matt Mercer.
That's awesome.
No, he was in Monsters University. A bunch of video games, but then also a lot of like animated DC and Marvel.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've listened to that man talk for countless hours on end at this point in my life, just from listening to Critical Role.
So this is the scene. Then they're in the bar. They come in and
Tetsuo
is
so
like
pompous.
He's got that like crazy. He's Willem Dafoeing it up.
Yeah,
at the moment.
very much
He's
so.
got that. What's that that animated Netflix turned into a TV or turned into a movie?
Death Note.
Yeah, Death Note. He kind of has that.
Well, that character is.
Well, yeah, a lot of the demon
different.
in Death Note though is the way the demon sits in every scene in Death Note is the way Tetsuo sits in the destroyed bar.
Well,
Like,
I've never
so.
watched Death Note, and I just know the image, and that's what I thought when I
if
saw
you
it.
think Akira is serious,
Matt Mercer is great, Joe.
Death Note is serious stuff.
Death Note is great. That's another one that I think you should watch as a series. Maybe not so much the live action.
I never watched the live action.
I do need to watch the live action.
I've only watched the show, and it's.
I don't know
so
how
good.
much. I don't know how much you're gonna get out of. So not to get off track, but the guy who created Death Note lost his mind, and
Do you know what the story is?
No.
Kid gets a notebook from a demon, and if any name he writes in the note, you die.
Oh, so
with
it's like,
how the way he does it.
so
but
it's
by
like
the end
Chuck
of
Palahniuk's Lullaby, where you can just kind of like think the thing and stare at a
sort of,
person
yes,
and you can kill
yes,
it.
sort
Okay.
of. But the actual guy who was writing it, kind of like a lot of these guys do with the mangas and how popular they become, he lost his mind, and the original ending to it, I don't think that the government would have broadcast because it got very anti-government at one point.
Well, he was
And
like
they changed
he became like a
it.
freedom fighter, and it would just like kill
Yeah.
people, and he was like there was a detective.
In real life.
No,
No,
in
the
show.
thing.
Okay.
But it was
but
a
the
very
guy writing it lost his mind a
anti-police,
little bit.
anti-government,
Yeah.
sort of. You know,
So they had to change the ending to the show, and a lot of people are just like, meh,
Yeah, okay.
sucks. And he kind of like lost his mind because he had to do so.
Okay.
it's still very good.
It's great. It is great. It's worth watching.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, rant off.
So Tetsuo
Rock,
kills
paper, scissors.
Yakamata, but leaves Kai. And at that time, because Kei and Kaneda are still in the nursery, they get captured by the police again and are put into a holding cell.
Yep.
At that point, they're in the holding cell and they have the conversation. Kei and Kaneda about what Akira is, and she does this sort of metaphysical conversation about an amoeba having the power of a nuclear bomb or something.
Yep.
Okay.
When they're in the yellow holding cell and they're talking about it, and she like, the movie sort of dances around what it is, but it's basically like, imagine if a single-celled organism had the same power as the Big Bang. It's not malicious. It's not for good. It's not for bad.
But you can't
It
trust
just
it.
eats. The only thing that an amoeba does is eat all the things around it.
Right.
So if you gave the amoeba the same power as the power of the Big Bang, you know what I mean? And they sort of allude to that. The creation of the universe was neither positive nor negative. It was just
It
sort
just
of
was.
It just
an
happened.
outcome of what happened. And that's when they start to really show you what they're sort of talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
In the movie, you know, in the creation of the universe and the not positive or negative aspects of the way that energy works.
What's up, Harley?
And I just found out that Kay is getting signals from Kyoko.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the precog Esper, who unlocks the cell door and they are able to escape.
Yep.
Because the Espers believe that Kay's natural she sort of has a similar power to Tetsuo.
Okay.
And they might be able to use her to help stop him from getting to Akira.
Also, did they discuss the fact that what Akira actually is at this point and that it can never technically be again?
No.
Okay, so we haven't gotten to that part.
No, he
Surprise.
hasn't unearthed
Okay.
it yet.
Oh, yeah, because that's right. When he goes to the stadium, they're all...
Yeah.
Right.
So Kaneda gets out and they go back to the bar. They find the bar.
Find him
They
dead.
find
Dead,
Yamato dead. They find Ki, or what is his name? It's Kay and Kai, right?
Yeah,
Kai.
Kay and Kai. It's
The
they
funny
made it
one,
too-
the dumb one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kai.
They find Matt Mercer. Matt Mercer explains him what happens. Takes him to his bike. They have that scene where he ghost rides Yamato's bike.
Yes.
She's like, "What are you doing?" He's
He
like,
smashes
I'm
into the wall.
giving Yamato his wheels back," and he smashes his
into
bike
the wall,
into the
yeah.
wall. Sort of like a Viking funeral for the guy who was already dead.
Yep.
And that's when they take Kay away. The Espers come and they.
Yep.
And she walks across the water. They're in that like drainage ditch.
Yeah.
And
and then
Takashi comes down.
Yeah, and they just disappear into the wall.
And they take Kay and they basically tell kind of like, "You're an idiot. You suck. We're gonna take her and she's gonna like stop Tetsuo," and then just walk away across the water. And he like goes to step on the water like she's walking on the water and falls in. I always like that scene.
That was a really good spot, or a good shot.
Yes,
and spot in the movie. Yes.
But then Kaneda gets his bike back. Him and Matt Mercer get on their bikes and ride, baby.
Yes.
And everyone is sort of knows that Tetsuo's headed towards
destruction or something bad.
Yeah,
really.
well, physically headed towards the stadium.
Oh yeah.
So the army and Kaneda and the Espers, everyone is now separate. You know, we were all together in the nursery. Now everyone is not in the same place, but they're all headed to the same place. And this is where Tetsuo gets the cape.
Yep.
He puts on the red cape and starts a path of destruction through the city, leading towards
like destruction. Just,
just
like blowing
waste.
things up.
Oh yeah.
When you get to the stadium, there's literally a V carved into the one side.
Well,
you know?
so the cult starts following him through the streets.
Yeah, because they think it's the coming of Akira.
They think that Tetsuo is Akira reborn.
And at that point, I'm like, I think that they're right. That this is how an Akira happens. Yeah.
So Tetsuo has this destruction through the city with the cult following him. He ends up actually killing most of the cult.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People.
I mean, that's
the whole bridge scene.
To me, one of the funniest things, because like the leader of it is being carried around. Basically, he's not really moving. Like he reminds me of like a Buddhist statue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a bigger guy sitting on this, like rattling off random things, and I think he gets sucked in. Though, is it a woman?
Yeah.
Oh, either way, they get sucked in and get killed.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, it's pretty wild. And at this point, I think Nizul, not Nizul, Jesus.
There is no Nizul. Only Dana? Well, that's backwards.
Yeah, so when after Tetsuo escapes, basically the colonel decides there's a coup. Yeah. He says things are going so bad, the old men in Parliament can't decide anything. He's like, I'm taking control.
Yeah. They're trying to stop him now, right?
Yeah, they try to stop him, but he has the upper hand because he controls the military.
That's right, because they try and jump him.
Yeah, he tells the government to arrest all the Parliament members.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is where you see
Nizu.
Yeah.
Running.
So it turns out the leader of the resistance, the guy who may or may not have been Kay's boyfriend, didn't die in the sewer, and comes to Nizu's house
to tell him things
to
are
tell him
really messed
what's
up.
going on, and then that's when you really learn that, like, oh, so one of the Parliament members has been funding the resistance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you see him just stuffing money into his briefcase, and you realize that, like, you weren't funding the resistance because you believed it. You were doing it to line your own pockets.
Yep.
And, like,
of
you
course.
were terrible too. You're just as terrible as anyone else in this story, and maybe even more so terrible.
Most satisfying death in the whole movie.
Yeah, I would say because it's the most satisfying death, that kind of right there tells you this guy is the bad guy.
And he dies of a heart attack.
Chewing on pills.
Yeah, he doesn't get smashed to bits or shot or
natural causes.
Or killed by Tetsuo. Running away with a briefcase full of money has a heart attack and dies.
Yeah, most satisfying death in the movie.
Yeah, what a poignant.
It's the Joffrey moment for sure.
100%. Yeah. And he had such a small part; you don't see him a lot.
No, but what he represents and what he is doing.
Oh yeah, so good.
Yeah.
And then we get to sort of the end starts here.
Yeah.
Well, before the stadium. So Tetsuo gets to the underground facility.
Mm-hmm.
And fights Kay. The Espers sort of impart their power to her, and they have a small fight.
Yep.
Which he beats her.
Yeah, and he ultimately then opens up
and then pulls, which is such a well animated scene when he pulls the ball out of the earth. that Akira is in.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Which is, straight back to Stranger Things. All the things that 11
Yep.
crushed or lifted up, And
Very much so.
Tetsuo pulls that out and is finally going to open the Akira chamber. And everyone's like, finally, we get to see Akira. And it's just test tubes with organic material in them.
More,
Yep.
I don't want to say test tubes. Test tubes are small, but it's
Yeah.
more like
It's the TGI, whatever they
it
call
looks
it,
like-
TGRI tubes from Secret of the Ooze.
No, you know what it really reminded me
Yeah.
of?
That's
Ninja
why-
Turtles.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah,
the TGRI.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks
Yep,
like.
that whole scene is the turtles in that and
Yes.
the foot coming in. It's all that. Yeah.
Exactly, Joey.
So he pulls that out and learns that Akira, basically the Colonel lets him know that Akira was one of the kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
That the bomb that went off that destroyed Tokyo was Akira.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That they dissected his body into little itty bitty pieces and put into these 20-30 jars and froze them.
Yep, and
Then
technically at that point, Akira
There
would
is-
never ever exist again because Akira is now pieces.
Akira
Yeah.
is dead, and
Yeah.
his body
was
has
more or less vaporized. And,
whatever's left of his body was put into storage to be studied later on.
Yeah.
And this makes Tetsuo even more crazed because he thinks that Akira is the end-all, be-all, ultimate power.
Yes,
And when he realizes that
it was just another child.
That
Akira
means
is
that
just
he
is nothing now.
Yeah, and that means he is now the
He
end-all,
is-
be-all,
is.
ultimate power.
Which now, at this point, I want to say we are probably in the final chapter of this story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the same. We're
well,
entering
there's
the
two
ending.
more fights.
Well, there's
So-
two more fights.
so-
I'm saying the final chapter. If this was a book,
Yeah,
you're getting-
probably
you're getting it,
the final two chapters.
Yeah.
or the final conclusion to this whole story.
Well, there's still an up and a down here because I would say
yeah,
the
100%.
up they have Kaneda shows up on the bike, and finds one of the. They had showed it earlier in the movie. The government has these sort of particle beam.
Yep.
Sort of Gundam beam cannon
Yep. It's just
rifles.
giant. Looks like a giant laser pen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he
Remember?
finds one, and so he goes. Now Tetsuo is in the rubble on top, from where he ripped the Akira chamber up from the ground.
Second favorite scene of the whole movie is. Did he lose it? Oh no, he didn't lose his
He
arm.
doesn't
yet.
lose the arm yet.
But having all the pieces sitting up there and him sitting there. Go ahead.
Yeah,
'Cause I wanna get to that.
so he has like the pieces of Akira laying
What's up,
there,
Grave? Welcome.
and Kaneda starts shooting at him
Thanks for being here.
with the big laser cannon. They end up going at it back and forth, and then the Colonel enacts. He says to do the what is it called?
What?
The weapon
The actual the gun thing he is
in
holding?
space.
Oh, the
Soul.
yeah.
SOL. He says to
Yo, when he starts
activate
lighting those
Soul.
things, oh man.
And at that point, they've never showed anything about it in the movie. Like, Soul? What the hell is Soul? And then it's a laser cannon orbiting the Earth from outer space.
It's basically what the U.S. government wanted to do,
With
called
Star
the Star
Wars.
Wars Project,
Yeah, exactly,
where it
yeah.
would be able to shoot down missiles with lasers.
Missile defense shield, yeah.
But yeah, like these are big, or
Yep.
like you're talking at least like maybe 10 miles and round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe not 10 miles,
But
but
huge.
a few blocks
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In width, they're big.
and so while
Huge.
Kaneda is shooting the laser
What's
gun
up,
at
Mr.
him,
Ohio?
the government is shooting their Soul beam weapon from space. And that's where Tetsuo loses
His arm. Yep.
He gets caught in one of the blasts and his arm gets blown off. And in anger, this is my favorite scene, he flies into outer space and destroys the satellite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Superman.
So that's how
Yeah.
much power Tetsuo has at this point.
Which when did the first Christopher Reeves Superman come out?
76, 78,
Okay, so
somewhere in there.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
very much an homage to.
Yeah, well, I think it's the second one where he spins the Earth around backwards to change time.
Which is what year? Probably
80.
Okay, yeah. Then
Either
either way.
Any sense? Why would that work?
No, spin it backwards. Time goes.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's Flash runs, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I feel like that scene was very much, and now you get it in every superhero movie where everybody's flying up, you know.
Yep, or every finishing move in any Japanese fighting game where the main character jumps into space and throws a meteor or satellite from space.
Yep.
But if you've never seen the movie, it sounds cheesy. It's not cheesy in the way that Dragon Ball Z is cheesy.
Yeah.
Which I love.
No, it's a very serious scene. It's a very tense scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is way more...
What's up, LOL?
As weirdly, I want to say realistic.
That you can
obviously not realistic. You know what I mean? It's fantasy, but it's way more of a realistic scene of a man flying into space and punching a satellite than you can fathom if you've never seen it. You know?
It's not over the top in the sake of being over the top. It's literally a very tense moment where he just got hurt and he said, like, his rage is like, oh, it's up there. I'm going to.
My hands down favorite part is there's no sound.
Yeah.
When he's in the space. No. You know, we're used to these days space movies with explosion sounds and everything.
Hello,
really,
LOL.
there is no sound. Doesn't travel in space.
Yeah, there's no air. Nothing's gonna explode.
So if you're gonna watch a Star Wars movie, there's no in space. It would be quiet unless you were inside.
Unless you were in the vessel that's shooting something.
Yeah, but then it would only be the sounds of things hitting you. Not the sound of it.
You wouldn't hear your own guns.
Space. Yeah, you wouldn't hear it.
You'd only hit something if it pierced your.
Yeah. You would hear the reaction of your vessel
crashing.
To it happening, but the explosion would be happening.
What I'm saying is
space.
you would hear if it was an electrical current that was being produced from inside. You would hear that, but you would never hear the beam go out.
Yeah, you'd only hear the Death Star explode if you were inside of the Death Star.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to hear it in space.
So this scene I love because it's quiet.
Oh yeah.
He goes into space and it's silent and he destroys. Yeah,
because in space no one can hear.
Tetsuo.
No one can hear.
No one can hear. I like that. So after that,
it fills up with water. You know, you can't hear anything.
Tetsuo, the fight is basically over. It looks like Tetsuo wins.
Yep.
Even though he lost his arm, Kaneda's laser gun is out of power. So him and Matt Mercer, I'm just gonna keep saying Matt Mercer, and Kay regroup.
Yep.
And are charging the laser gun off of Kai's bike.
Yep.
At that same time, Tetsuo is inside the stadium now.
Well, that's when he reforms his arm.
Before he reforms his arm, he's sitting on the big seat.
Yeah, the throne.
The big throne in the stadium.
Yeah. With
the vials of Akira lined up.
Yeah, but he has his arm at that point because it's.
No, it starts to grow.
It starts to grow after that, but when that scene starts, his arm's not growing yet.
Yeah.
He's missing the arm.
And then he sits down.
Then he sits in the chair.
And all that stuff
and he starts growing the arm.
Him. Yeah.
No, because he has all the. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, the only shot I vividly remember in this scene is him with his hand there, or his no hand there, and starts like pulling in the wires or whatever it is.
Yeah, because he has his. I'm pretty sure he has some of the electrical.
No, he doesn't get the arm until he's in the stadium.
Yeah, which is where the throne is. And
yeah,
he's sitting there.
He sits on the throne, and it gets made on the throne.
When the scene opens.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
No, because he makes the arm, and he's sitting there, and the arm, because it's made up of wires and everything else, is going through the concrete.
Yes, but, so, listen to what I'm saying. When the scene opens, he is sitting on the chair with no arm, and then his arm starts...
Whoa.
His arm starts to form it while he's sitting on the chair.
I don't think so, but I might be wrong.
What do you mean you don't? But that's what you just said to me.
No, if he forms it and then goes to the throne.
No, he forms it on the throne.
No, he doesn't. He forms it and then goes on the throne, and when he's sitting on the throne...
Oh, okay.
That's when the wires... Wait, okay, because then more wires go to him then?
No,
it's
all the stuff that he made out of his hand that is now expanding and going through. It's like worms and everything.
Because I vividly remember all of the wires going to his hand, so I guess it's going out of his hand.
It's going out of his hand and like kind of like building.
Oh, okay.
All right,
Yeah,
maybe
I see
we're
what you
wrong.
mean now.
You know,
I'm
and
gonna
then he
leave it at a
gets
maybe.
off the throne
I'm
and
still
he's
not
kind of
convinced,
crying in pain in the hall.
Okay, all right.
But everything is built up behind him. All of the pieces of Akira are there. And yeah, that's the one, because that's when the commander comes back.
Okay.
And he's sitting on the throne. And Tetsuo or Kaneda goes back to recharge his stuff.
So what I had wrong with, yes, you're right. He makes the arm before he sits on the throne.
Yes.
And it's his arm. when he's on the throne, the arm starts doing its own thing.
Yeah, he starts losing
without his
control of that.
Gotcha.
So yes, while he's at the end of the fight.
Oh, I definitely thought that's how the arm was built.
No.
At the end of the fight, the arm builds.
No, because when he lands back down, he's just like, he figures out he has power.
After he lands back down, you're right. After he lands back down, he makes the arm and he has control over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you see him on the throne,
he doesn't have control.
Does not have control of the arm. That's when all of the wires.
I
and
definitely the way I remembered it was he was making the arm there and then sending it
No,
out to do things.
So he doesn't have control of the arm.
What's up,
on the throne.
So does he technically have control of creating the arm, or does the arm recreate itself?
Well, he created the arm again.
Okay.
When he lands from space.
Yes.
You're right about it. That's what I was confused about.
Yep.
When he's on the throne,
then got it.
He loses control of it, and it starts acting on its own.
Yes.
Right.
That's when Kaori shows up.
Yes, and finds him crying in the
crying in pain,
like the where you would walk back as a like in the stands or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Now that chair is in a Grimes video. In Delete Forever, she's on the moon sitting in a chair from the same white chair from that, which is cool.
That's
another.
Hello,
reference.
Jackie.
But yeah, so you're right. And then the Colonel shows up.
Yep.
And then Kaneda shows up.
Yes.
So Kaori, the Colonel, and Kaneda are all there trying to stop Tetsuo.
She's trying to comfort him because she finds him in pain. He's crying in that walkway.
Yeah.
The Colonel
comes back.
The Colonel is actually trying to say, come back to the hospital. He's got some sort of sedative or something. He's like, come back, we'll put you out, we'll take care of you. Like, he's not trying to kill him. Kaneda comes in just like, I'm going to stop you from being a jerk, you big jerk.
Yeah.
Just typical, like, the way he's acted the entire
time. Yeah.
Just dumb.
A lot in the way of, like, how, to go back to the movie we did last time, Barbarian, where Justin Long's character just rings true through and through.
Very much so.
Yeah, Kaneda is just a self-serving prick.
Well, I mean, he has this power you're not taking away from him.
But now he's self-serving and also gonna potentially save the world.
Yes.
Well, he thinks he can.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kaneda really can't do anything.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't. At this point, he has no.
Is that the point of this movie, that Canada can't really do anything?
And we're putting our hands into the royal pudding as by tradition.
As is tradition.
Yeah, and then this is where the arm gets out of control.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are not going to be able to describe this if you've never seen it. If you've gotten this far in this show,
you've seen
this movie. Let's be honest. But
there's a bunch of things that I will say that it is, from the first time of watching it to the last time we just watched it. I cannot feel more for his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I cannot feel more for
so
like
sad.
him and not having control, because basically it becomes like a blob of just different things. He starts absorbing everything, and he ends up crushing her.
Yeah.
And he's almost about to crush Kaneda, and
he becomes this huge blob that is just
almost looks like a blob, like a baby blob at some point.
Katamari.
Yeah, basically, just create like just sucking up
arm,
all this stuff.
He is just absorbing everything around him.
Yeah.
In the same way that when Kay was telling this thing of the amoeba just eating everything around him.
Yep.
It's just he's just absorbing everything around him, unable to stop. And when he grabs Kaori, and then he grabs the Colonel and he grabs Kaneda. They're all in this sort of bubblegum blob thing.
Which
and you
leads me
hear
to-
him saying, he said, "You have to stop me.
Yes.
I'm hurting Kaori."
Yeah.
So he knows that
Yes.
he's hurting her.
And he has no control.
And then when she dies, that just
The smush of blood.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Also, that's
so
when he
sad.
finally has a change back of heart where he's just like, oh, I don't have control. You need to stop this. You need to stop this. Save
Yeah.
her, save her, save
Yeah.
her. And he's getting crushed. Like Kaneda is getting crushed himself. Kaneda is about to die, and so is the general. You know what I mean? And then that's when you have the 3 kids. The
Is this
Espers.
when the scientist dies? Is this the...
Yeah, well, in
the
that
No,
mix.
it's not-
or
no, not
yet.
yet.
Not yet, okay.
But you can also kind of picture how that explosion worked, because I think during this whole thing they do a flashback real quick to the crater of the first of that bomb. But you can kind of get an idea of what happened with Akira,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
like a
it's-
kid that probably
lost
just
control.
became an asshole and lost control,
Yeah.
and that was it. You know what I mean?
All right, so from here...
Yeah, so
What's up, Alex?
Kaneda with the gun.
A tiff?
A tiff?
Can you say atif?
Atif?
A tiff.
Sure, we said it. There you go.
Hopefully that's not anything really mean.
I mean, I have no idea what it would mean, but yeah.
So the Colonel and Kaneda end up getting out of the grasp, Tetsuo's grasp.
Yep.
And then that's when the Espers show up. The 3 kids show up. And because Akira's parts are still laying there, through their power are able to reassemble Akira.
Yeah, well, they bring Akira
They
back.
bring Akira
They
back
bring
to life.
In
And that's
spirit,
what,
in spirit.
yeah, that's when you see that. Well, no, physically too. because
Technically,
his
yeah.
parts are
You're
there.
right. You're right. Technically,
That's
yes.
when you see Akira was just another
Kid.
kid.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just a kid.
Akira was just
but he
kid
did
number
look
28.
normal.
Yeah.
Like, he did not look like the other Espers or anything like that.
Yeah.
He looked like a normal kid.
But could this be in the way that, like, in certain religions, when you die and you go to the
Could
next
be.
plane of existence, you are
Well, those
you are
kids,
put back whole?
those
so
kids look like that because it's been
30 years.
30
yeah,
years.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Of
whatever
testing
might
and
have
other things,
happened
yes.
to that kid, you are now seeing him in his purest
Yeah, so Akira
form.
comes back as he looked when he was a boy.
Yeah.
And basically does what he did the first time that Tokyo was destroyed.
Yep.
He creates some sort of nuclear bomb. And this bright white light, the only way to stop Tetsuo is this bright white light starts to engulf everything.
And that's when you get the commander that runs into the scientist and said, "Why didn't you tell me I would have stopped this, or why didn't you stop this?"
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so that's
like
when,
I thought you had the ability to stop this moment. Yeah.
Why
yeah,
didn't you?
Yeah.
I would have. I told you this. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so you get all these resolutions.
And so the kids teleport the Colonel out.
Yep.
Kaneda gets sucked into the light.
Yep.
The scientist
He gets blown up basically.
he gets sucked into the light too in the blown up.
Yeah,
But when
kinda like when
Kaneda
it
gets
rips-
sucked into the light, that's when there's this metaphysical sort of
Well, that's when the
flashbacks
flashbacks
happen.
and you learn about
There's a
Tetsuo and Kaneda.
yeah, there's a flashbacks of him and Tetsuo being friends, growing up together, both
Yeah.
being losers
Mm-hmm.
and having nobody. Then there's also the flashbacks of the 3 Espers and Akira as children
Yes. Yep.
before 1988, growing up in this home where they're, and this is it's straight up Stranger Things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
They
yeah.
straight up rip this, like
Yeah.
them with the helmets on,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
doing little experiments
rooms
and
on-
things. Yeah, but the 4 children plus other children,
Yep.
all together, and that's when that's when the movie just really just force feeds it. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is what Akira
Well,
is. You know what I mean?
and it's a
They
great
danced
way.
around it for an
Yeah,
hour
exactly.
and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Now at the very end, they're like finally like, this is what it is.
But my favorite thing about the end of the movie is when they do the flashbacks of Tetsuo and Kaneda, and how much Kaneda pretty much loved Tetsuo and would stick up for him and be like, yo, you gotta, like, don't worry about them. Do your own thing. I got your back. Do your own thing. I have your back. And you finally get that buildup of why Tetsuo hated that, or had,
the animosity towards him,
or wanted to not have to have somebody worry about. You know what I mean? Like, you get it, but how close they actually were, and then for him just to lose it beyond that power. Was it actually Tetsuo? Was it part of the power? Was, what was it,
Yeah, is it like booze? Do you just become more yourself?
Yeah.
Like, is it does it just accentuate
or
your
did it just take over, and it's like, no, we're just going to do this, like on other movies, like when somebody gets possessed by something, like, it's like, oh, no, I'm this thing now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so the kids... talk about it if they can save Kaneda, because they see that it's not his fault, and he might be a jerk. He's tried to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So the three of them band together to teleport Kaneda out of the city back to where Matt Mercer and Kay are waiting.
Kay, yeah.
Yep.
Kay and Kai.
Yep.
And then they don't tell you exactly what it is. It's more of an idea of what happens. Basically, a singularity is created.
Yeah, I think they say that they won't survive or something like that, or not everybody will survive if they do it. Correct?
Am I wrong on that?
Out of the three of them?
The script here.
Or that, not Kay, but, what was the one Esper, the girl?
25?
Kyoto. That Kyoto wouldn't live or something like that, I believe. One of them would not make it through.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
And kind of like in Minority Report,
all the kids live.
To be the
they
most
do
powerful.
live. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not live. Basically, they teleport him out, and they show the thing becoming sucking down to a singularity. And
that's right. They do live, because we were talking about a possible sequel and then being
and Kaneda hears Kay's voice and gets pulled out of it.
Yes, right. She saves him just as much as he saved her at times.
And then because at the end he comes back to Kay. He said, "You called me, right? I heard you." And then Kai, I think, says, "What about Tetsuo?" And Kaneda says, "He left. So did those kids. Akira too."
Right.
And then it becomes that singularity into a drop of dust.
Yes.
It falls into Kaneda's hands, and it's gone.
Yes.
But then at the end, you hear them say but he's probably, but someday we'll also be able to. You see, it's already begun.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you'll hear is, "I am Tetsuo."
Yeah.
So what it's supposed to be, they don't explain it there. It's just Tetsuo becomes a singularity through the help of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And gives birth to a new universe.
Right. That makes sense.
So all the
so the story about the amoebas and the power of all that.
Yeah. So all the power of because it goes into something so small. So the Big Bang was caused by. Tetsuo causes a new Big Bang.
Yes.
And it's some sort of multi-universe.
Yeah. Well, because they were able to take that blast and
and take it out of
repurpose it to something else.
Take it out of our dimension into another dimension where all that energy could be used to
something
to create the universe.
Yeah, which again, whether it be good or bad,
it's just energy, and it's not
saving
good
that
or
one
bad.
universe basically.
But energy cannot, be created or destroyed. It has to go somewhere else. So it goes.
So him at the end saying, "I am Tetsuo," is him introducing himself
as the creator
to the
of this
nothingness,
new world.
but as the energy source behind the creation of another.
So in the end, he does become a god.
Yeah.
Like he is a god in that way.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think.
Pee again.
Yeah, do it.
We still have more to talk about.
We do have more to talk about. We don't want to be going on for a 4-hour show tonight or anything.
No.
I mean, that the whole movie, we've made all of the references. We've said like we've talked about all these things that it has influenced and what it was influenced by.
Right.
But at the end of it, like you said, we talked about could they do a sequel? Like would they do a sequel? Anything like that. The movie ends perfectly for what they were trying to do with this story.
Sure.
And
they could open it up for another movie.
They could, but they don't
But what's
have
the
to.
point?
And in the way that it ends with a singularity, I think that is the way the movie should end. It ends with a singularity. This is like the movie is that little thing at the end. It's like you only need this one.
Yes.
Like,
and I think
we don't need anything. You don't need anything else. You could, but you don't need anything else from it.
I also
it
think
wraps
that-
it up wonderfully in that bow and leaves a lot to imagination, as any good piece of art will. It leaves it still up to your
Very much so.
interpretation and where you think they should be going.
Yeah, and I think that society has changed in the way that we view certain things and the way we present cinema and other things, even in Japan and across the world, that I think that people would want too much in-depth stuff or think that they would have to go in too much. They would have to tell too much of the story.
You would have to make it like a 10-part miniseries to flesh it out. Like,
Yeah, and I think it's just going to be too much. Like,
I mean,
I feel
as
like
made
they're going to have
evident,
to
just us
spoon-feed
recapping
you.
this right now, we took just as longer than the movie itself is just to describe the movie.
Right.
And like we could go like hours longer just on the recap.
Like I told you the first time that you watched it, it sort of washes over you.
Yeah.
Like a psychedelic experience almost, because it is so absolutely gorgeous, and it's esoteric enough that on your first. When I watched this when I was 15, I didn't know what the hell this movie was about.
Right.
Yeah,
it was just a visual
You didn't get the
feast.
subtext or anything.
You know, and not until we really
pee.
delved into it here did I really start to get a bigger understanding of the exact themes. I'm sure if I watch it again, I'll get something else out of it. It's one of those infinitely rewatchable movies. The way that in today's anniversary. That Dark Side of the Moon is like infinitely.
Oh, weird.
Yes.
Okay.
Today's 50th anniversary of Dark Side of the Moon.
That's...
Yep.
And yesterday we heard a really bad version.
Some of the live versions, Roger is.
Yeah, just
I'm
doesn't
not
know
the
how to
biggest.
sing.
I'm not the fan of old Roger Waters. I'm not the fan of young Roger Waters, but especially old Roger Waters. That's a topic.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I could go back in time and catch them in their prime, I would go see a show.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah!
But I mean, I think I really enjoyed the cover band that we got to see of them. And I thought they killed it. But I mean, I'm not gonna.
No, there's some like shows from like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Where Roger is
it's
just such a
bad.
pompous jerk.
Yeah.
But this movie is like that, like a classic. Sort of.
Well, without this movie, you don't have a lot of things.
You definitely don't have a lot.
And that's why I just want to get into this big old list here I have of things that directly inspired by.
Okay.
While you do that, I'm going to urinate.
When we're talking about just animated stuff that came after it, because it invented cyberpunk, you had Ghost in the Shell, Alita Battle Angel, Cowboy Bebop, Elfen Lied, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy VII. Movies like American movies, The Matrix, Dark City, Kill Bill,
Dark City for sure.
Chronicle, Looper, Dark Knight, Inception, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
They even list Puss in Boots, Last Wish. I didn't see that, but that is, I guess, heavily has Akira references in it. Batman Beyond.
Any of the Batman movies. So how many Batman movies have the Akira turn?
I think Dark Knight has the. We didn't talk about the slide.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That slide.
The slide. The motorcycle slide.
How many of the Batmans have that?
Just
a lot of animated for sure.
Oh, the animated Batman has it all over. Weirdly enough, one of the things that uses the Akira slide the most are all the modern Cartoon Network shows. Steven Universe.
Okay.
And Adventure Time
makes sense,
and all that. They all do the Akira slide. They did it in the Spider-Man. I think the Spider-Man the Miles Morales game.
Okay.
They did it in. There's just the slide is in everything. The bike was in Ready Player One.
Yes, it was.
In the
very
race,
much so.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it and be like,
that.
"Oh my god, that would be awesome."
The Half-Life series.
Yep, for sure. Half-Life
games.
takes. Yep, 100% Half-Life.
Spawn.
What's up, Trooper?
I mean, the big Batman thing is the first Nolan Batman movie. The design of the city is straight up. Neo Tokyo. And then obviously Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The tabletop game, and then Cyberpunk, the video game.
Mm-hmm.
Deus Ex, Mankind Divided is straight from that. There's a whole the season 4 premiere of Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah,
was basically an Akira reference. There's a South Park episode,
that
which
makes
is
so
just,
much more sense now.
There's an Akira South Park episode. Asa Akira, the adult film actress, took her last name from that.
Really?
We already said the Grimes video.
Also, a game that a lot of people don't ever know about. It actually features David Bowie as the main character, the protagonist. It's called The Nomad Soul. It was put out by Eidos and Quantum Dream. If that didn't happen, I mean, that's a direct ripoff of Deus Ex. So,
well, the Eidos did Deus Ex too.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was the same thing. It was a really cool game. David Bowie was the main character.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we didn't mention the Kanye. Oh no, I did mention the Kanye.
Earlier.
So there is, right, for you never seen Akira.
Watching it through, it's kind of, I liken it to when I watch a movie with somebody who's never seen the movie and they notice a reference from that movie that's from like Family Guy, that they've been making that joke for 15 years and they don't know what the joke is, and I'm like, now you get it?
Now you get it, yeah.
The Akira slide, I mean, initially, the second it happens and you were just like, this is the first time it was done. And then, not just with motorcycles,
Batman,
but with how
Christian Bale,
certain people land on the ground. You get the Black Widow land with the leg out, and they even make fun of it in the Black Widow movie. Yes. And then her sister winds up doing the same thing and like has to like shake it off and everything.
Well, because she's making... I did watch that. She's making fun of her for like, why do you guys do those stupid moves
with that leg out and everything? But like Spider-Man does. I feel like Spawn. Every movie,
Spawn for sure.
Like when they land like that. Did
it say which Spawn, the animated series?
It said specifically the animated series.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And then aside from the actual slide itself, the cinematography of everything with any bike chase or the car chases. Almost all of that is what Fast and the Furious built their cinematography on, and it's epic. And even to go to Mad Max Fury Road, like obviously this was made after the initial Mad Max movies, so like they're going to be pulling references or pulling some influence from that. But it is
what's up,
just
Ruru?
Like every action movie since this happened. Somebody watched, and maybe you got directors like John Woo who got really big in the 90s.
I'm sure John Wick has. Yeah, I'm not even John Wick, but I mean John Woo. Yes.
But yeah, there are countless things. Like there's too many to name. But the big thing, you had said Looper in that list.
Yeah.
And the big thing for Looper is the whole fact that there's like a young child who has these powers at some point who can't control them.
Sure.
And like I think it's when he thinks his mother is at danger.
Doesn't that happen in The Golden Child? Isn't there a point where the child loses control of its power? Eddie Murphy movie.
Maybe. I like the remake better, Beverly Hills Ninja. That was a much better movie. But yeah,
doing good. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Again, thanks for everybody that is sticking through and listening and coming back.
In things in our movies, our buddy James has a Honda PCH.
Oh yeah, that bike is 100% inspired.
He's got this red motorcycle that it is as close as you can get to the kind of this bike in a production.
So we just calling James O'Canada from now on?
Yeah, he needs the jacket with the pill on the back.
Yeah.
We're right. I'm just gonna scream out, Canada! God, that makes me Tetsuo. Oh well. Yeah, but there's just been so many things.
Oh yeah.
That this changed.
Yep, and again to go back to what I was saying before, that it like changed the course of what would become film. And they took so much from things coming before them as anybody does. You, as an artist, a filmmaker, a manga writer, you are taking the things that you loved and that you watched or you read or you listen to growing up, and they're influencing every decision. So in this, obviously, you get Blade Runner, most of the works of Philip K. Dick, Asimov, like you get a lot of that influence in there, obviously. But then everything from E.T., Star Wars, 2001: Space Odyssey, all the way down to Rebel Without a Cause, like with the motorcycles. Like
yeah, that's all in there.
So much of like American culture and put it in, and it reminds me of how like in the 1940s and 50s, American rock and roll was happening, and it influenced everything that the Brits would do in the British invasion, and then the British invasion influenced everything the Americans would do in 1970s and 80s rock and roll.
Yeah.
And it's just like a trade-off back and forth. And this thing like skyrocketed action films like so far. Like if you look at every 90s action film and compare it to a 70s or 80s action film, it is so much more movement of the camera. It is so much more...
it was actually taken serious. They did a lot of... They actually sat down and shot it like an actual film.
Yeah.
There's cinematography.
And that's where the fact that I keep going back to, that it is a hand-drawn film.
Yes.
That they were able to process that and to just... like to come up with the idea of a shot and execute it with the camera is one thing. But to come up with it and execute it with
especially with the facial stuff that Zach was talking about before.
Oh, yeah.
And there's people that have been trying to do it for a long time. We were talking about Wizards and how you should watch that movie Wizards, where you have Ralph Bakshi. Where he's trying to put together a more serious adult themed thing, like, you know, almost like how heavy metal and stuff is. But this is actually a story that could be 100% could just be a, you know, live film that somebody put out, the way it looks, the way it's set up, and that other people have not been able to do that up until that point.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Also, we got a request to sing the BK song. It's the catchiest song out right now.
It is the catchiest song ever written.
Yeah.
It is, right?
The Burger King?
You know it.
I don't know the
yes,
Burger
you do.
BK, have it your way. You rule. Whopper, double Whoppers.
I've not heard this.
50 Whoppers.
It's every other commercial.
On what?
Everything.
Well, I don't...
All right, after this, we will play you the catchiest song in the world.
We don't need to do
You've
that.
heard it.
We need to.
I've seen it with you 100 times already.
I don't...
It's every other commercial on YouTube.
What's up, Alex?
It's every commercial on TV.
So I don't see commercials.
Oh, you
I don't watch
pompous
TV.
bitch.
I don't watch TV.
You're going to hear it
I
regardless.
don't watch TV either.
Yeah, I don't know
Are
how
there
you've heard
ads
it.
on your Paramount?
No.
No, it is really a good song. I'm not even joking.
They play it on the radio. They play it everywhere.
I'm not even joking. It's a great song.
All right, we'll listen to it later.
But
You're a liar. You're gonna hear it. You're like, I know this.
Yeah.
You were here for the Super Bowl. We heard it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
The wild thing too. So the manga was not finished when they made the movie.
Yeah.
Much like they did with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And much like with Game of Thrones, the creator has reservations about finishing the film or show before finishing that. And this is what I read, that he had a lot of trouble trying to finish the story in writing after the movie was made, because they differed significantly.
I mean, how would you feel if a film came out and did incredibly well and somebody wrote the ending to it because you did not have something?
Yeah.
He wrote it.
Yeah, it's the same guy that wrote it. So the guy that wrote the manga wrote the movie.
Okay, well, either way, so then writing the end to the movie, and then
knowing where your story ends, but having to
fill in all the gaps.
Like that's got to be really terrible.
Oh, it's super, because you might have made a decision that now you don't agree with about yourself.
Well, and from what I read here, it said,
or something that you wrote, you have to now unwrite before it goes back out.
He had trouble after the movie came out. He had trouble trying to finish the story, the manga, until he became friends with Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Manga.
Who's that?
Manga.
Alejandro Jodorowsky, one of the craziest directors of all time. You know, he did like
Beyond the Black Rainbow.
No, no, El Topo, the Holy Mountain.
The Holy Mountain. Have you ever watched
He
The
was
Holy
supposed
Mountain?
to do Dune, but he didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, the greatest movie about a movie not being made. They
Oh
have
my
the whole
God.
documentary about that.
We should do a
Lost in La
Jodorowsky.
Mancha? Different.
We should do an episode of this show on him.
Oh, man.
Where at least we watch El Topo and the Holy Mountain.
The Holy Mountain is a
The
rough
Holy
one to get through,
Mountain
dude.
It's not that. It's fucking good.
It's good, but
It's
all right, I'll
good.
watch it if we need to.
Do you guys?
Okay?
Anybody in the chat, leave a comment on this. Have you seen the Holy Mountain? Do you want us to talk about the Holy Mountain, or does it not need to be talked about? Because
I mean, the Holy Mountain always needs to be talked about. But...
we need to talk about the Holy Mountain.
I know nothing about the Holy Mountain.
Oh man!
Oh,
Literally,
man,
this is a weird blank spot in my film.
He was a Mexican director. That
Okay.
It's wild. He would hire like cripples and stuff to be in the movie.
Okay.
It
was a wild thing. And to answer your question, we're live so late because we are getting to the end of our actual stream here. You can go back and watch all of the stuff we talk about on Akira. We're not 100%
We're almost
finished.
3 hours into this.
Yeah, let's pick.
Let's get a nice wrap it up on
I
this
say
one.
pick up whatever key points that you want to get across.
I just had one more note.
Okay.
One of the film's key animators, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong, Makiko Futaki went on to be lead animator for Studio Ghibli and did Kiki's Delivery Service,
Also,
Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle.
Okay.
Also
which you need
makes
to watch
sense.
because you love Billy Crystal.
Yes, I've heard all of that. Yep.
Also makes sense as to why the animation and the look of a lot of the Ghibli stuff is consistent. And very much so, when you watch a Ghibli movie, you're going to look and be like, oh, that character looks familiar.
Yeah.
And while there are times, I will say this, when I first watched the movie, there are times when they render in Akira, like especially the first guy, his face looks exactly like some of the other people.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, was that the main character that just died? No, it wasn't. But they have a specific style to what they do, and Studio Ghibli stuff is amazing. You should watch that.
One more fact that I do have written in my notes. It was, until 2014, the only animated movie you could get from the Criterion Collection.
Really?
Wow.
In 2014, do you know what the second one was?
No.
The second one. Okay,
In the Criterion Collection.
So the first one that goes in is 1988's Akira.
Yes.
And then in 2014, a second one was added in. Is it Toy Story?
Nope.
Oh, man, I'm trying to think of... I'm just going to throw it out there. Is it Shrek?
Nope.
No, well, what do we got?
Animated... Oh, Ghost in the Shell?
Nope.
Fantastic
Mr. Fox.
Wow.
Really? Oh, that went immediately in there.
Wow.
Like, because that is just around that time.
Wes Anderson.
The Wes Anderson one, that's like 2010?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like almost immediately in. Yeah, for Criterion. That's crazy.
Wild, right?
That is wild. I mean,
good on Wes Anderson.
And when it was put out on the Criterion Collection in 1992, put out on Laserdisc. Not any other format.
Nice.
So the Criterion Collection is,
how much does that go for?
Is the original American dub
the Akira
on Laserdisc.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's got.
And that was it.
That's got to fetch a few hundred right there. Oh well, I mean, yeah. To while you're looking that up, Justin, to kind of wrap up on this, I mean, I'll just say.
Okay, so you can get it on DVD.
Well, yeah, but we're looking for
I bought it on Blu-ray for $7.
We're trying to find the original 1992 Criterion Laserdisc.
Yeah, well, it says from DVD for $149, but it's not. It's showing the Laserdisc. Okay. Actually, the cover is really awesome.
Heck yeah! Oh, not yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna say, since it was my first time seeing this movie, it is above and beyond what I expected it to be going into it. It was every ounce what you guys told me it was going to be and more. It is definitely in the top science fiction movies of all time.
Dude. $100.
Yeah, that's great. It's one of the best sci-fi movies I've ever seen. It is definitely one of the best animation movies I've ever seen. And having very few Japanese animation movies, I'm gonna say the best Japanese animation movie I have ever seen. But that's not a lot of competition. in that respect.
I mean, at the same time, you've seen bits and pieces. If you watch Kill Bill, you get.
Oh yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I've seen all the things that anime has influenced, but not really. I mean, I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I'm saying
that's not anime,
That's kind of close to
that's
it being
American.
a cartoon. It's a cartoon.
You might as well be watching Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, and I've seen that.
No, I'm saying
like
specifically in Kill Bill 1, there's the whole animated section.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I understand, like, but either way, the movie as a whole,
Jurassic Park, the anime.
What we wind up doing on this show is we wind up giving things rankings of 0 to 100, and I think that's the way we should wrap this up. And I know that the two of you highly regard this, so I want you guys to go first.
I'll go
first.
Justin,
0 to 100, and just for those that have not watched in the past and do not know, our grading scale is basically 0 to 50. If you're under 50, it's a bad movie.
Yeah,
it's
probably
failing.
not going to watch it again.
50 to 70, 75, you go from like pretty good to, okay, this is a damn good movie. I would recommend it in the 70s. 80 and up is just like, holy crap, this movie. And it'd be almost impossible to get a 95 or above.
Well, really. I'm just gonna say this. I'm not gonna ever really score anything perfect. I think.
No, nothing. There's always things that can change.
You know, that aren't like, you know. A lot of people may think that the pacing sometimes is off or whatever, but as a sci-fi movie that is animated that changed so much and set the standard for a lot of things, I'm going with a 97.
A 97?
Yes.
Jeez. All right, Zach, what are you putting this at?
Well, as much as we hyped this up,
yes,
I can only give it a 90.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Because Ghost in the Shell is better.
Ooh.
I will agree with that. Ghost in the Shell is better. I'm going on the criteria of it set the standard and how many things pulled from it.
Okay, so you are going to put Ghost in the Shell above this when we watch Ghost in the Shell.
It may end up being the same or a little bit more. Who knows?
The only thing that is not better than Akira as far as animated movies go is probably Ghost in the Shell.
All right. Well, as my first time watching it, I definitely need to watch it again.
Sure.
To, like you were saying, you get something different every time you watch it. But as my first time watching it, and it being, and again, I'm judging it on being a sci-fi movie, an animation. I'm judging it on being an action movie. All of those things. I loved it. I think it's phenomenal. I will probably revisit this score and go, maybe a little bit higher. But I can't hit a 90 with this.
Understandable.
I'm going to rock this at an 85.
I think that's a good balance.
This is literally one of the best movies I've ever seen. And the whole time watching it going, this was made 35 years ago. Finished 35 years ago. The movie's as old as I am, basically. And it is...
Yeah, it doesn't feel cheesy.
It is aged better than
overdone.
I have. It's perfect.
Oh,
it's
Mr. R
perfect
gives it an 89, so we got another number. 89,
there we go. Yeah, guys, in the chat,
Joe,
let us know.
Joe, 85.
85. They're dead on with me. That's what I'm thinking, too. But let us know in the chat, guys, what you think in the comments if you're watching this later. Give us your ranking on Akira. And then also go back and watch our first 2 episodes. We cover X and Pearl in episode 1, and then we cover Barbarian.
Did we decide next?
We have decided that our next episode, which will be 2 weeks from tonight, weather permitting, 2 weeks from tonight, is going to be the new hit Elizabeth Banks film, final performance by Mr. Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta.
Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
We'll
We're
be
gonna watch
discussing
it just for you
Cocaine
guys.
Bear.
We're going to do so much Cocaine Bear talk.
Yes. It is. We will get demonetized for the amount of times we say cocaine.
Yeah, how is that going
bear.
to work?
I
That's
don't
the
know.
name of the movie.
It's the name of the movie.
We're
We're
have to
referencing
say
the
the
proper
sea
noun.
bear.
Yeah, sea bear.
Sea bears.
CB.
Seabiscuit?
Seabiscuit.
Part
the Cocaine
4.
Bear
I
and
did so
Seabiscuit.
much drugs the first time I
Oh,
saw
we got-
Seabiscuit.
OG the Gamer with an 85 on it as well. You know, that's awesome.
Heck yeah. Well, guys, thank you everybody for joining us tonight, for listening along. Big ups to Mr. R. Thank you so much for letting us be where you.
Are you letting
Hold
us
on.
Put
We're going to
this-
touch upon the Meth Gator movie coming out in a month.
Meth Gator,
Coming in
dude.
May.
Oh, yes. I hope that's a real thing.
Booger Sugar Bear. That's what Joe.
Booger
Sugar Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Nose soda. Nose beer bear.
Oh,
Nose beer bear.
Wait, bear isn't the offensive part here?
yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
Cocaine B.
Cocaine B. But yeah, we will be live in 2 weeks, guys. Thank you again to Mr. Rampage for bringing the plaque here
that was
to
awesome.
unveil.
Thank you for
that was so
coming in.
awesome. Thank you to everybody again in the chat, all the subscribers, for getting this channel to where it is now. It's onwards and upwards.
And you heard it. We're going to be part of the million.
We're working towards a million, guys. You are a part of it. Thank you so much. Make sure you like, hit subscribe, click the bell so you get notified. Share this and any or every other item of content that we have out there. You can check out videos that are dropping every week right here on Binge Rampage.
Yes.
But yeah, we
I know I need to watch Picard, but you guys should also be watching Last of Us. It's absolutely amazing.
Check
Tell
out
me
Picard.
that those episodes weren't great.
Dude, everyone's gay in the apocalypse. And
Yeah.
I'm with it.
That is true. Everybody is gay.
Hey
in the
man,
apocalypse.
but is it like prison gay where you don't have
No,
No, it's like
it's
really
like free.
It's like really just the greatest zombie show ever made.
Hell yeah! All right, well I'm gonna get onto that eventually.
Walking Dead can eat shit.
Oh man, you just.
I know,
There's
just
gonna be
alienated.
zombies
I
walking
know,
through this
I'm gonna
house.
get so much flack. I'm not saying The Walking Dead is
no.
bad. I'm just saying Last of Us blows it out of the water.
I mean, on an emotional level, Naughty Dog set everything up, and the writers to this show. I don't know if the people who wrote the game are also on board right now.
Oh,
easy there.
Yeah.
I know Mr. R is a
man.
big Walking Dead
We
fan.
just got canceled.
I
know.
think he canceled us.
This channel was built on the back of Walking Dead.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
that. And I'm
Yes.
not saying that The Walking Dead isn't great.
You're
Yes,
just
it
saying
is.
you can eat shit.
But The
Last
Walking Dead never made me cry the way that The Last of Us did.
Fair enough.
All right, guys.
But you
well,
should be watching that.
Again, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Once again, for this show, the Binge Report. I forgot what the name was for a second.
Binge Report on Binge Rampage.
I almost said the old show's name.
The one right up there?
Yeah, the one up there that no one's allowed to see.
Yeah.
But again, for
One day you'll find it.
for the Binge Report, this is Mr. Justin Olampado. I am Mr. Kyle Mocha, and this has been Mr. Zachary Stormin.
Whopper,
Thank you so
Whopper,
much,
double
guys.
Whopper.
We will see you in 2
Junior
weeks.
stupid asshole Walker.
Oh, there it is.
BK.
There it is. A-hole Whoppers.
Yeah.
A
All right,
Whopper of an
everybody.
A-hole. Later, guys.
Bye.
Have fun.
She got a Whopper
See
of
you
an
later. I'm going to smoke cigarettes now.
All right.
There we go.